Hey there, Go listeners. I'm not here this week, but I wanted to take a minute and let you all know of a fantastic deal going on over at eWin Racing this week for Black Friday. You've probably heard me talk about my gaming chair, which is genuinely the most comfortable chair I've sat in at my desk. Now is the perfect opportunity to get your hands on one because there is a 20% off sale going on right now, site-wide at ewinracing.com. And don't forget to use our promo code TGO at checkout to get 20% off as well. Believe me when I say you won't be disappointed. The quality is incredible, and they'll hook you up with a size that is just right for you. Thanks so much for listening. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving, and I also hope you enjoy the episode.
What's up, everybody? My name is Kay Bests, and you might recognize me from Agents of Mayhem, where I play Persephone Brimstone. You're listening to Scott Clark and the Gaming Outsider.
Hey there, Go listeners. On this week's episode, we're discussing spoilers in video games and the social etiquette that surrounds them. In news, we go in-depth on the Game Awards nominees and speak on the contentious The Last of Us Part 2 remaster. I discuss Lake's wonderful and cozy Season's Greeting DLC, and Alyssa is going to talk about Gods of the Twilight and even has an interview with the developer to share. This is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast that focuses on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. It's Sunday, November 19th. I'm your host, Zack Parkerson, and joining me are my friends Alyssa White.
Hello, my dear.
And Chris Berensmeyer.
Hola.
Here we are, guys, gathered around to mourn the passing of our friend, Scott Clark.
Scoot Clerk.
We love and miss Scoot.
Right. We may never see him again.
I know, he just keeps disappearing on us. I don't know where he goes.
Yeah, I do feel bad for the audience. I've had to host several episodes this year, so.
I know, yeah. It's
Sorry.
Just like, goes and plays with spiders in Australia. It's just doing weird things this year.
So Scott Clark, he's off, I don't know, watching football or something weird.
Something with sports.
Yeah. He's probably drunk at the stadium right now.
I think you're giving a little too much credit.
Yeah,
I mean,
about an
he
hour
is
ago
probably
he was
just mowing down hot dogs, though. Just
is he a big dog gobbler?
Yeah, he is. He loves when you put a little extra mustard on there too.
Dude, I believe it.
You guys are going to kill me by the end of this episode.
Yeah, this might be our first explicit tag by the time we're done. But let's talk about some video games, huh? We don't have to make fun of Scott Clark all the time. It just comes so naturally, so I'm sure it'll pop back up.
It's because you guys love him so much that you make fun of him.
Oh,
Right.
Well, that and he just paints himself such an easy target.
It's absolutely true. You have been playing the recent Miyagi release.
Yes.
It says here.
Assassin's Creed. Yeah. We won't read what I wrote down, but yes, Assassin's Creed Mirage. I'm almost finished with it. Man, it's definitely making my list.
Yeah, that good, huh?
Dude, I'm telling you, Zach, this is the return to form.
It's up next in my GameFly queue, so I'll be trying it out shortly.
You need to hurry up because the end of the year is fast approaching.
Dude, you're not kidding, man.
Yeah, I know.
I also want to squeeze in Lies of P because everyone says it's way better than the demo. There's definitely some stuff to play.
So much to play, so little time.
So Mirage, though, you've been mentioning it's a classic format brought back, right?
Yes, dude.
That's holding true.
It just keeps getting better, and I still haven't run into that like glitchy spaz crap that we saw.
Okay,
he's morphing around. So I'm just like,
oh really?
Yeah,
it was all over the trailers, though. I mean,
I
it
know.
must be a specific upgrade or something.
It really. I don't know about that because I've maxed the skill tree.
No, I don't know. But it was all over the trailers. I'm not crazy.
I think it was just some really bad marketing.
Probably.
Maybe.
Man, chef's kiss brings me back to 2.
Wow,
so
that's bold.
Yeah,
it is.
It's not as good as 2, but it brings
No.
me back.
How could it be?
No. So, speaking of odd things, which surprisingly, I didn't know you were playing this, but I also just recently ordered this game, so I have it in my collection. But you've been playing Saw?
Yeah. I started this last week. I think I described it as it's a bad game. I love it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's the combat is terrible. The puzzles are funny because it's just the same ones over and over again. But for some reason, I just hear that Tobin Bell speech, and he's like, "Step with me behind the curtain." And I'm like, I gotta go behind the curtain, man. What's going on over there? So I felt so compelled. It was a very easy platinum trophy that I got on this game because it's basically just kill everybody with every kind of weapon.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, my kind of game.
Super simple, but a lot of fun. The twist just isn't very good at the end, I think, which is a bummer because Saw, man, it's all about the twist. Also, I'm just gonna say full disclosure: you guys are big Saw fans. This game does not use Hello Zep.
I was going to ask you if it used that because you mentioned it last week,
which is nuts.
That is a cardinal sin, right there.
Truly, can you imagine without that song during a Saw twist? It's half the twist. So I had to redo the ending, and then I played Hello Zep myself from my phone.
There you go.
It was the only way to make it.
You're doing the Lord's work.
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes taking liberties can be forgiven.
Mm-hmm.
But with something that's like that poignant, I'm really surprised that they missed the mark.
Well, especially because this one has so many fun references to the movies. Like, you have to do a puzzle where you need to cover or you need to grind pigs to make blood and guts to like raise a key up. But it's like the trap in, I think, Saw 3 where the lawyer is pinned down. You can find a camera to light yourself in the dark like Adam does in the first movie right before he's kidnapped. So it's kind of fun. So they have all these neat references, and they go to the trouble of obviously paying Tobin Bell, which I assume most of the money went to because they didn't get anybody else from the movies, even if the characters are here. But I'm like, you guys couldn't just like license the music? You couldn't afford Hello Zep?
Guess not.
Surely it would be included in the licensing fee, I would have assumed, but I don't know. It bugged. However, the game itself, I actually like it a lot. Can't recommend it to anybody.
Well,
but I like it a lot.
Pure schlock trash. So
yeah, you gotta love Saw to death like I do. I think to really get anything out of this. But I'm not the only person playing easy platinums. Alyssa, you're playing some Spider-Man 2.
I am. That's my main game right now because I had finished Alan Wake last week. So trying to get through Spider-Man by keep getting distracted about all the side stuff.
Sure,
Some of the side quest stories are actually really good, though.
Yeah, I have some issues with them, but they can't be discussed here.
Yeah, I get it.
Also, some creative liberties taken with this story. Makes me upset.
You got to in an adaptation, CB. You don't want it to be the exact same.
I know, but
changing it doesn't necessarily make it good. So, the liberties could have been done poorly. Like I feel, Venom was. I understand.
Yes, but I will say, web slinging in that game.
I don't know if you guys. I experimented. I went back to the first Spider-Man afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much slower, the swinging.
In this one?
Yeah, I can see that.
No, Spider-Man 1, the swinging is just demonstrably and noticeably slower.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I just love swinging through the city.
Oh, of course. Must be that power of the SSD. They don't have to load anything.
I still like the subway, man.
Well, sure. But you got to admit, it is technologically impressive. You can fast travel anywhere. Spider-Man 2, it's just press of a button. That's crazy.
Well, he's good hardware.
Sure, I was credit where it's due. We don't praise PlayStation a lot on this podcast, okay? So I'm just giving them a little bit of chops here.
Yeah, a little bit. Because,
he's so reticent.
Conspiracies may be coming.
He's angry about it. Oh, God. Alyssa, unless you have anything else you need to add about Spider-Man 2, let's get to the conspiracies.
Yeah, I don't have much about it. Besides, I think I'm halfway through the story, but won't say anything.
It's pretty short. Have you had a costume change yet?
Yes.
Yeah. That's about halfway.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I think I'm halfway, because costume change.
Sure. I don't like how we're like talking in code as if everybody doesn't know that you get a symbiote suit in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. All right, CB, let's rip the Band-Aid off and get into the news, huh? right, there's some new trailers that came out. Trinity Fusion, Core Keeper, Reku Venture. I do think if you guys like Scott Clark's taste, watch the Trinity Fusion trailer because it looks like a Clark bona fide.
It does.
By the way, is it just me since he's not here? Is it almost always like there's always one trailer that's just like, this is Scott Clark's game?
Yeah, well, don't worry. I'm gonna take a big dig at him later because I think him not being here is quite the act of cowardice when it comes to our topic.
That's
yeah.
true.
But in terms of other news, Last of Us Part 2 getting a remaster. There are more remasters and remakes in the Last of Us franchise than there are games. The Game Awards nominees have been announced, and Baldur's Gate 3 looks like it's finally going to get a release date on Xbox. So obviously, I think the big news here is the Game Awards. So, and I have a feeling, Alyssa, what do you want to talk about first? How about that?
Let's just talk about The Last of Us Part 2 getting a remaster.
You took my story.
Oh,
really?
Sorry,
I thought you needed to talk about.
Oh, I was going to crap on both of them regardless.
Yeah, all right.
I assumed you were going to go for the Game Awards, CB. But they leaked the trailer online Friday. Well, they didn't leak it. The trailer was leaked online Friday. Naughty Dog made the announcement official later that day. The game releases January 19th and includes a new roguelite survival mode called No Return. There's also a speedrun mode and a guitar free play mode, just in case you want to play the guitar for whatever reason. Last of Us Part 2.
Weird. Why would you learn the guitar in The Last of Us? So specific.
It boasts 4K in fidelity mode, faster loading times, and DualSense integration. Previous owners of the game can upgrade for $10. Those who own a disc copy of the game will have to have a PS5 with a disc drive to be able to take advantage of the upgrade. No mention of the remaster coming to PC, because last time that happened, that was great.
Well, yeah, I assume that's inevitable.
Yeah.
But before we unleash the red fury of CB over here, Alyssa, what do you make of this remaster situation?
I mean, I was gonna say it seems too soon, but I guess it really hasn't been too. I don't.
Yeah,
it's been
over
3 years.
Yeah. 3 years. I mean, is it really needed?
This is one of the dumbest decisions I've seen.
Wow, it's definitely not as dumb as remaking The Last of Us Part 1 for $70.
Well, that's true. Price point is better if you're gonna upgrade, but unless you don't have a PS5 with a disc drive and you have a disc copy, then that's an issue.
Well, that was your own foolishness, I'm sorry to say. CB, let her rip.
This is absolutely stupid. I'm sorry, but like Naughty Dog, like we know they have new stuff coming. Okay? I'm beyond like irritated over the fact that it's like, hey, rather than work on the new stuff that we're doing, let's split our team, make a remaster that nobody asked for, and then be like, hey, for those of you that didn't buy the disc version on the last generation, even though this game was like towards the end of the last generation, it looked phenomenal as it was, we're going to charge you a boatload of
money. Well, if you own it digitally on PS4, it's still only a $10 upgrade.
Yeah. But if you own it physically on PS4 and want to play it on PS5, you have to have the one with the disc drive.
Can't tell me this is like one of the biggest middle fingers to every single person. It's like, you know what? We're going to try to get on board for your digital only revolution.
Well, obviously I hate all of those people, so good riddance.
This game is just barely 3 years old. Why?
So here's okay. I was gonna sound. I feel like I'm usually pretty fast to crap on Sony. I think this is fine. I think $10 is a perfectly fair price for the new survival mode alone. I think it sounds cool. Although it is kind of funny because the whole game is
$10
bad. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that can't get it for $10,
right?
And this is not a dig on Sony. This is a dig on Naughty Dog, through and through. Like you're clearly making a new Uncharted game.
I don't think they are. I think there's a new Uncharted game being made. I don't think Naughty Dog.
Okay.
I think they are. They're obviously. We know they're working on factions, or were until the weird Bungie stuff happened. And I think it's fair to say The Last of Us Part 3 is coming.
Okay, but But why are we splitting a team when we could be focusing on just doing one thing and doing one thing well? I'm so sick and tired of like, let's remake and remaster things that clearly didn't need to be remade or remastered.
Right.
Especially like one of the shortest turnaround times on a remake remaster I've ever seen.
Well, they remastered The Last of Us after only a year, from PS3 to PS4.
That's true.
So they're actually held off for this one.
But it's just dumb. It's so dumb. Because things like no return or guitar free play mode and everything, those could have just been like, hey, we did an upgrade, pay $10 like for everybody that bought it, regardless of whether it was disc or not, and this is being added in.
Yeah, well, it is weird because PlayStation, the past few years, they keep trying to do the Nintendo thing where they don't lower their prices.
Mm-hmm.
So like God of War Ragnarok is still a full $70 everywhere, which is crazy. So I guess in their mind, they're like, well, it's still a $60 game. So I mean, look at all this content we're adding, all this value.
Yeah.
Look, of course, it would be nice if it was free for existing owners, and also like, you can play the PS4 version on PS5, and I think it has a 60 FPS PS5 patch. So
yeah,
don't buy this unless you absolutely need it, I guess.
We added a few extra pixels. Oh no, look at it, it's amazing.
Well, that was they're compared, like the comparison screenshots they put out, I was like, I don't understand. It looks like you adjusted the brightness.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like the same.
Extra ray tracing. It's amazing. Look at it. Pay us $70 for a game that we just made.
Well, hopefully just 10, I guess. I assume most people have. Most people
I
that are
have
interested in Last of Us Part 2 probably have it, right?
I have a disc version. I'm not going to pay this. I think it's a stupid idea. I feel bad for anybody that doesn't have the disc. And you know what? I will loan you my disc. Like, that's how much it pisses me off.
The PS5 with disc drives outsold the digital version 3-1. So most people have a disc drive. So there is that.
But now you have to go track down a copy and buy it.
Sure, or I'm sure they're going to reissue. I'm sure they'll reissue it on disc for $70. Yeah, but I hear what you mean.
And I'm assuming with the disc, you still have to pay the $10 for an upgrade, even if you have the disc. You just have to have the one with the disc drive, obviously. But
for a company that's so adamant on like pushing digital stuff moving forward, like this is like the biggest slap in the face.
I don't know, man.
And I really wish that, like, rather than keep splitting teams and doing these, like, if it was a ground up remake, like Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, Resident Evil, kind of Resident Evil 4, I would have been okay with that. But when you're just spit polishing a game, adding a tiny bit of content, and especially like Resident Evil 4, it made sense. Like, that game came out in the GameCube era.
Mm-hmm. I think to me, I'm viewing it as upgrading a movie I love from Blu-ray to 4K, and would I pay $10 for that? And for some movies that I love, I would. And if I don't love, I don't know. There are movies that I love enough to own on Blu-ray that I'm like, I don't know if it's really worth upgrading to 4K.
I just it just irritates me a lot. Old man soapbox.
No, I get you. I'm often irritated by these kind of things, and I certainly rallied against The Last of Us Part 1's $70 outrageous remake, where you got less content but paid more, no doubt.
But Sony, I love the exclusives that you make.
Mm-hmm.
Make more of them. Stop remaking them, because what's going to happen? Like,
I definitely agree. Like, what happens after it? We don't know anything that's coming after Helldivers. Like, they're so quiet over there right now that it is kind of that seeing announcements like this. Yeah, I guess I do understand why that would be frustrating.
What are you talking about? We're probably gonna get like God of War and God of War Ragnarok dual pack remade for whatever.
Ghost of Tsushima remake.
Stop. Make new games. Stop remaking old games.
Well, and unfortunately, it seems like Naughty Dog may as well just rename their studio to like the Fireflies or something, because they're just making The Last of Us stuff. they seem to have no interest over there doing anything else for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Which is why I assume that Cassie Drake game is going to be coming from somebody else.
Well, I don't get it because they make such good games. Like,
yeah, I wonder how many of those people are still there. You know, that like the people responsible for Uncharted and Jak and Daxter. Like, it's been so long.
Or give me like a ground up, like complete remake of Uncharted 1.
I'm sure that's coming, right?
And
but they'll have the audacity.
Make more sense than this.
It'll still be a single player only 6-hour game that they'll charge you $70 for the remake for.
And you know what? I would have rather paid $70 for that.
I understand.
Because at least it was enough time that it is faded from memory.
True.
Sure.
PS3 era.
Yeah.
Early PS3 era.
I guess I'm old. 2007.
Yeah. You realize that was over 14 years ago.
No, I understand. Hey,
it doesn't feel like it, but yeah.
This is my argument when people were annoyed that Resident Evil 4 is getting remade. It's like, dude, it's almost 20 years old. Like, that's enough time.
Yeah.
Not that I need it. Okay, Resident Evil 4 is a gem. Okay, it controls perfectly, and I have no complaints.
It's okay.
You hear me, Scott Clark?
It's aggressively average.
Oh my god.
How dare you?
You're out of your mind.
Two's
Speaking of
better.
aggressively average, why don't we talk about the Game Awards?
Oh boy.
You mean the big middle finger to Xbox?
Oh, here it is. CB, I assume you've got some beef here with the Game Awards. No, I don't.
Yeah.
Why don't you say your piece about Xbox, okay, before we get into it? What do you
the
feel
one
about?
And only thing that Starfield gets nominated for Best RPG in the category that it's clearly not going to win.
That it cannot win, right? Because Baldur's Gate 3 is in that category. Is Cyberpunk in that category as well, I believe, which irritates me for a whole host of other reasons. But these
like
things,
Lies, I think it's like going up against Lies of P as well.
Yeah, but well, the category is redundant because there's only one game that could win because there's only one that's nominated for Game of the Year.
Yep.
That's Baldur's Gate 3, right? Like, I mean, the category is useless.
Yeah. I mean, when you look down this list, it's the same 5 games in like every category.
That's true.
It's Baldur's Gate 3, Marvel Spider-Man 2, Super Mario Wonder, Tears of the Kingdom, and for like those few other ones, it's either Alan Wake 2 or Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, well, I think Baldur's Gate 3 has the most nominations, followed by Alan Wake 2, which has like 2 less.
And
in categories.
I'm not taking anything away from those games. I've yet to play either one of them. Because I don't have a PC that's good enough to run Baldur's Gate 3. But I've watched videos. I think it looks phenomenal. I love Baldur's Gate 2. I love Baldur's Gate 1. Eventually, when I do get the chance to play Baldur's Gate 3, I will be playing the crap out of it. Alan Wake 2, I haven't played it yet because I haven't finished Alan Wake 1 yet.
Understood.
That's the only reason I haven't played those. They are both on my list to play. I plan on playing Alan Wake 2. I already own it. I just don't want to play it yet. Baldur's Gate 3, like I said, the moment that it gets released for Xbox so I can play it, awesome, I'm there. But just looking down the list at everything else, I'm like, this is horrifying. Like, it's basically, it looks to me like it's praise Sony, praise Nintendo, and screw everyone else.
Well, Nintendo. I've long felt I do think the Nintendo bump is real. No doubt.
Yes. For sure, yeah.
It is well deserved. Tears of the Kingdom was a good game.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure it's phenomenal. I haven't played it yet. But Nintendo is much like Disney, where like they have a stranglehold over everybody's childhood, so they just have this constant affinity for them.
Yes.
It's a good analogy.
But best art direction, like the fact that Starfield was not on there and Super Mario Wonder is, that hurts my soul a little.
You said for best art direction?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I agree. Well, I particularly agree with Tears of the Kingdom. You know, Breath of the Wild, I think, is a stunning game, obviously, especially with its art direction. But Tears of the Kingdom is that again. And obviously, and Mario Wonder does have a little bit of the like, hey, it's the Mario look we know and love. But at least they have those Wonder Seed stuff, and it's kind of got weird looks that way. But Tears of the Kingdom just kind of looks like Breath of the Wild again. And you guys couldn't.
That's true, yeah.
Starfield couldn't sneak in there for that. I mean, it's got that awesome, NASA punk aesthetic that they were going for. I think, even though I certainly didn't like Starfield as much as CB, I think the art direction is unquestionably beautiful.
Well,
it is, yeah.
I think the score and the music is phenomenal. Do I think it's as good as everything else on the list? Probably not. But it bothers me that it only got nominated for one category. And there's so many other games that came out throughout the year. But it's, like I said, the fact that you just see the same 5 games in every single category, I'm like, come on, like, it legitimately feels like the Oscars, where it's like, we threw all this money and we want to be the only ones here. Okay, thank you, bye.
Yeah, there are other ones. Like, I think best game direction for Spider-Man 2 is bewildering to me, because the game, the game is great, and I love the first one, but they're also the safest products known to man, right? They're totally inoffensive. They're made so everybody can love them and beat them. Like, I don't know. To me, that's not a best game direction. That's like the safest product we could have made direction. It's just very strange.
Yeah, it's true.
I don't know. Do you guys want to run down some of these categories and share what you want to win?
I'll make my predictions right now.
Oh, okay.
Well,
that's what. Do you guys want to do your predictions of what will win, or do you want to share what you want to win?
Oh, I'm making my predictions on what I think is going to win.
Okay, so Baldur's Gate 3 for everything.
Pretty much.
No. You'll have a sprinkling of Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, fine. All right.
Best
independent game.
Yep, bottom to top.
Yeah,
Sea
best
of
independent
Stars.
game, which I agree, Sea of Stars, Alyssa.
Yeah.
Okay. This category is strange to me because, as has been noted writ large, but Dave the Diver has a publisher. It's funded by a publisher. It is not an independent game.
Yeah, I know.
Yet it is here because it looks indie. But then it is interesting because Larian self-financed Baldur's Gate 3, published it themselves, pay for the D&D license themselves. So that technically is an indie game.
Yep, but the license, it's.
But it
So it's
doesn't
like-
look
that's why I
like
say,
an indie game.
I think the people that actually chose
Right.
all these categories were like, they're games. Ah.
Yeah. Maybe it just needs to be renamed to like best low budget game or something. But yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Sea of
best-
Stars. I
Yeah,
want Sea of Stars to
Stars.
win, and it will win.
Yes, it'll win.
His best performance, we have Ben Starr up as Clive in Final Fantasy 16. Cameron Monaghan as Cal Kestis in Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Idris Elba as some guy in Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty. Manly Libbard, who plays Saga in Alan Wake 2. Neil Newbin, who I think is Astorian, or Astron, or what?
Asterion, something like that.
Some
I don't
guy in
know.
Baldur's Gate 3, and then Yuri Lowenthal for Spider-Man 2. CB, what's your prediction here?
If I wanted it, like if it went the way I wanted to, I want Cameron Monaghan.
Okay.
But it's probably going to be, from what everybody says, Melanie for Alan Wake 2.
Oh, interesting. Okay. What about you, Alyssa?
I'm kind of torn. I'd either want it to be Ben Starr or Melanie Libbard, but I honestly could see Idris Elba getting it just because he's a big name. I mean, it'd be a repeat of the Mads Mikkelsen, the cutie booty delivery duty win.
Yeah.
You know how Jeff loves Hollywood over there. For me, I think Yuri Lowenthal should win this. You guys haven't seen the stuff he's doing when he's symbiote Peter. I think it's just next level. I think it's
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that part yet.
I'm there.
I don't know. I'm sharing. I corrected myself. I think his decades of voice acting experience are coming to the forefront during that. But who I think will win, I think it's going to be Ben Starr. He won the Golden Joystick already for best performance. And he's just, he's so good that, I feel like even people that like to play their games with the Japanese dub are like, well, I gotta play it for Ben Starr over here. He should be nominated for his audition for Mario.
That was
Twitter.
great.
I mean, better than Chris Pratt.
It's true.
Sure. Best audio design, we got Alan Wake 2, Dead Space, Hi-Fi Rush, Spider-Man 2, and Resident Evil 4.
Dead Space 2. Dead Space. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
From an audio standpoint, that game is beyond stellar.
Absolutely. Alyssa, do you agree?
I agree with Dead Space. I don't know if it'll win, per se.
Mm-hmm.
I could see probably maybe Alan Wake 2 winning. But I think Dead Space does have the best audio design.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I want Dead Space to win here. I think it'll probably be Hi-Fi Rush. I think it's a category it can win.
Also, yeah, true.
Just because and because rhythm is part of the gameplay, but there is always the chance for the Alan Wake 2 recency bump.
No, I think Dead Space will get best audio design, best score and music. I think will go to Hi-Fi Rush.
Yes, and it's up against Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Final Fantasy 16, and Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom for best score and music. To me, this is a no-brainer. I want to win, and it should win Alan Wake 2.
I think so as well, especially one moment in particular.
Right.
Seals the deal.
And it's also got a bunch of original music, like full band music, and in addition to its score. So, to me, this is a no-brainer.
I think
it is fantastic.
I think it's gonna be Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah, I think it's another category where it's got a shot, but I just think I don't know audio design, which I guess is kind of a nebulous term. I think it's got a better shot there.
Best art direction.
This will be interesting. Yeah, best art direction: Alan Wake 2, Hi-Fi Rush, Lies of P, Super Mario Wonder, and Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I understand why they're here. People love Nintendo and their art, but to me, I'm like, it just looks like more Mario and Zelda.
I mean, it does. To me, I mean, I'm not... Everyone knows I haven't played a Mario game, really, or a Zelda game, to be honest. But just watching trailers, it looks like the same art style over and over again. In every iteration, pretty much.
So for me, I'm like, yeah, I think Breath of the Wild should have won when it came out, but when you're doing it again the second time, I don't know.
Oh, it's Super Mario Wonder. For the most part, it looks like the last 3 Mario games.
Sure. That one I'm giving a little more of a pass to because of the weird stuff they do, because the Wonder Seed makes it all trippy and the visuals get weird and wonky. But yeah, either way.
But the seeds, like, okay, I'm guessing the seeds are what, like, I haven't played it yet. I own it
in every level. I don't know what it does in every level, but I'm just saying.
One in every level.
That's crazy. That's so much.
Whereas you have a game that's as massive as Starfield and as gorgeous looking as Starfield, especially when you get real close.
Look, man, I'm not arguing that Starfield should have been here.
Yeah, I'm not arguing.
That one, it just bothers me. It bothers me a lot. So I hope Alan Wake 2 gets it.
Okay.
I hope Alan Wake 2 just sweeps like everything, just being like, you know what, fine. You want to put everything Nintendo? Just Alan Wake 2 everything.
What's your art direction vote, Alyssa?
I definitely wanted to beat Alan Wake 2. Mostly because that's the only game out of this list I've played.
I think Lies of P, I think, is the most striking game visually to me on this list. I just love that dark fantasy.
From what I've seen, it does look extremely beautiful.
But Alan Wake 2 does do all the mixed media stuff that's very interesting.
That's a huge part of it too.
Every time they try that, though, it's like it's never gone well for awards.
Yeah.
Because they're like, is this a game? Is this a show? I'm like, it's the route they chose. Just accept it and move on with your lives.
Well, you do have to take into consideration that when these ballots were going out, people were still in the middle of playing Alan Wake 2. So, that's going to affect. Yeah. That's going to make it easier for it to win some stuff.
Well, and that's the problem I have with Super Mario Wonder. It's just like, oh, look, they're right at the very end.
Right. Yeah. But jumping over to Best Narrative, we got Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty. Does that mean that, and Final Fantasy 16, so does this mean going forward DLCs are fully eligible for all awards then?
I guess so.
Interesting. All right.
Baldur's Gate 3.
That's a guaranteed winner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
That's what the game is.
Yeah.
Right? Alyssa, who do you want to win?
I would love Alan Wake 2 to win. But I feel like it's going to be Baldur's Gate 3. There we go.
Best narrative, I definitely know Spider-Man 2 is not winning.
No, it shouldn't even be nominated. I haven't beaten Starfield, but based on what I've seen of its ending, I feel like, again, it's another... Why is it not on this list?
Yeah, but
how did DLC
is.
get on there, but not Starfield?
I don't know if I'm crazy about
granted,
that.
I have not played the DLC, but I just feel like it's DLC. It's not a full game.
Every time that Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty shows up on this list, it feels like, hey, we got Idris Elba to do this, so you guys should nominate.
Yeah. And it also feels like the weird thing I've talked about where people love the comeback story or whatever. It's like, see, the game's great now. Now we should give it a bunch of awards.
Yeah.
This is our excuse to do so.
Now, for best ongoing game, yes, I will give it to Cyberpunk for that.
See that? I think it should be disqualified entirely. But
I would rather see that than Fortnite.
Now, for best narrative, Baldur's Gate 3, guaranteed winner. I agree. It should be Alan Wake 2. To me, everybody else on this list has no business being here. But I also haven't played Baldur's Gate 3. Final Fantasy 16 had too many lows for me. The highs are really high, but the lows are really low.
That was for me as well.
They're taking you through bipolar disorder.
I don't want to go through that.
I don't either. That's why I don't want it to be on the list.
I had enough getting raised by my mom. I don't need any more. And then best game direction, we got Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Mario Wonder, and Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. To me, this is I would assume an easy win for Alan Wake 2.
I would love for it to be Alan Wake 2, but I could see people also choosing Baldur's Gate 3.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, those are the two. But I'm just like, Sam Lake. Give this man his roses.
Give him his award.
Yeah, we all know Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win Game of the Year.
I'm going to laugh when out of nowhere, like, best game direction is going to go to Tears of the Kingdom.
Figure it goes to Spider-Man 2. I'm just going to throw my phone against a wall when I'm watching this award show.
Why isn't Zack texting us back?
We have no way to get in touch with him anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess Baldur's Gate 3 probably has a shot, but man, Alan Wake 2, it's just so Remedy, you know?
It is.
It feels like the culmination of everything they've ever worked on.
And it's wonderful.
All right, here we go. Game of the Year. Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Wonder, and The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Now, before you get in there, nobody tell me who you want to win, right? Because we got our own award show coming up, and let's not give anything away.
That's true.
Okay, so who do you think will win?
Super Mario Wonder.
For
you got
best
your mind?
No.
You high? You taking a shot, right? Are you drunk?
Nope. No, because every single time, like, the game that I want to win, they go in the complete opposite direction, and this is the winner, and I'm like, what were you smoking?
Oh man, I think it's Baldur's Gate 3 by a country mile.
I think it is as well.
I absolutely hope so, but I wouldn't be surprised. And they're like, Mario!
It's just when you look at the voting board and the outlets they've chosen, and you just look at like so many of their, the people who work there, just like, man, it's my favorite game of all time now. It's like, it seems like a shoe-in.
Yeah.
And when you think about the fact that like Kotaku or IGN or whoever, IGN, the big sites that are voting GameSpot, like they only get one vote per outlet. So you have to think about like, what is the consensus game everybody can agree on should be voted for? And I feel like Baldur's Gate 3.
Well, we know IGN doesn't really discuss games anymore. So that's why I'm like, that's why I say I think it's going to be something completely out of left field.
Well, I don't think. Well, none of these would be out of left field. I don't think. I guess for me, the craziest
Super Mario Wonder winning Game of the Year would not be out of left field.
Not to me. It's got Mario right in the title.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either.
That's the problem, though. Like, it makes me so mad.
Just saying, it's Mario, man. It's an easy win.
So what do you have for best adaptation?
I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna hurt you. Best adaptation, a terrible category. What is it doing here? Who cares about what the best TV show based on a video game is? It has no business being here. I'm mad about this. Yeah, Jeff Keighley is obsessed with Hollywood. He keeps closing the Game Awards with Hollywood celebrities for some reason. It's infuriating. Remember when the last big reveal was the Matrix demo for that friggin' Unreal Tech demo, and they just brought out Keanu Reeves, and then that was the end. I was like, what? Or the year when Vin Diesel came out to show off that Fast and Furious game that looked like it was on the PS2. I was like, what is going on?
Too Furious?
This is ridiculous. Utterly bonkers. It would be like I can't wait to tune into the Oscars next year, and they say best mobile game tie-in to the best movie release. Like, what are you talking about?
Michael Madsen out on stage.
Oh my god, yeah.
For Rockaway.
Oh yeah. Crime Boss. Yeah, what is going on? Like, he's just Jeff, I love you. I appreciate that you like video games, but you seem to like Hollywood a whole hell of a lot.
And they just got Al Pacino for no reason.
Oh, dude, and Al Pacino, dude, he looked rough.
He was kind of, and he was kind of being straight disrespectful. He's like, I didn't even know voice acting was a job.
Yeah.
Basically, I was like, why
did
you bring him out?
I don't know anything about video games, but my grandson likes to play them.
All right, anyway, Jeff Keighley sent me a big check, so here I am.
I'm predicting at least five appearances or mentions of Kojima.
Sure. Well, he guess he's got a game coming out, DS2. But I'm waiting for you're going to see Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey going to come out to present a best performance or something, even though they have no business being there. Idris Elba, yeah, is absolutely going to roll out.
Keanu Reeves going to descend from the ceiling.
Yeah, of course. Our Lord and Savior, Keanu Reeves. I do not understand Jeff Keighley's obsession with Hollywood. I just don't get it.
Yeah, you know what? Let's turn it into an adult game every time a Hollywood celebrity who has nothing to do with games is either mentioned or shows up. You got to take a shot.
Blood poisoning. Terrible.
This is my friend Mads Mikkelsen. This is my other friend. George Lucas is here.
Yeah, we got Tom Cruise to show up. He's never been in a game, but I just thought it'd be really cool. Isn't it cool?
Oh god, it's gonna be a disaster.
Bruce Willis reprising his role from Apocalypse on PS1.
Oh, I almost made a bad joke. I almost feel like a terrible person.
Yeah, I kind of felt like a joke was coming.
I was like, no, I'll stop. I won't say anything bad.
Why don't you take us through why don't you occupy your mouth by taking us through this housekeeping set?
Perfect.
Maybe.
Sounds awesome. Just so everybody knows, we are an independently funded podcast, which means we must pay for our own podcast hosting services, website, everything all on our own, which is why we also have a Patreon page where fans can contribute monthly to help offset the cost of productions, as well as give back to the community. If you'd like to help out, you can do so at patreon.com/thegocast. No new Patreons at this time, but you too can join the action for up to $3 a month. You'll get some bonus content. We have a huge backlog of everything, which is available on our website, thegamingoutsider.com. Currently, we have our trade-off episode where Kevin and Scott duke it out over Streets of Rage 2, Marvel Land, Sunset Riders, and DuckTales. There is a clear winner. We also have
Sunset Riders. That one's got cowboys, so I assume it should.
Oh,
it's a winner in your heart, Zach.
Thank you.
Number 4 in your playbook, number 1 in your hearts. We also have our Desert Island games with Paul Hine. We're working on a Desert Island games with Jay Henry, who's one of our Patreon contributors. So if you are a Patreon member, you could theoretically possibly be on some of our episodes. Also an Alan Wake 2 spoiler cast, a Break the Seal of Super Mario RPG with Kevin Honigford.
It's apparently going to be big news, I assume, for Kevin.
Yeah.
He's going to be taking Mario RPG is great. I guess I think he's doing the remake, right?
Yeah.
So I
just picked up my copy yesterday, so.
No. I feel like I've already played the game enough.
But you can play one more time.
Right. Well, the font and the art is so much better than the Super Nintendo version.
Once more into the breach.
Look forward to Super RPG going up for Game of the Year next year.
Oh, probably. It's going to be listed in every category.
Dude, I always love when they're like, the games that were after balloting are eligible for next year. I'm like, they'll never show up. They've never shown up once.
Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Fallen Order.
Yeah,
Because that one came out in late November, so it wasn't any of the Game of the Year stuff. But I think it was nominated for 1 or 2 categories, right?
Yep. And then Jedi Survivor got snubbed as well.
Well, Jedi Survivor came out in March.
Still got pretty snubbed.
I don't think it was worthy of a lot of stuff this year.
It
Sorry.
was gorgeous looking.
Sure.
Granted,
Yeah.
the story was pretty trash, written by a 12-year-old girl.
I was gonna say the one category where I feel like it probably did stand out was Cameron Monaghan's performance, and there he was.
Yeah.
So, like it was. I gotta see. That's a game I gotta replay it with renewed expectations. Now that I know that it's disappointing.
Now that I know that it's garbage.
Yeah. Now that I know the story was shoehorned in, assumedly by some kind of forum fan fiction writer.
God,
You
are so.
do the drop in quality.
Every time you and I talk about that game, like
Yeah.
it just moves further down my list for the year.
Yeah, it's the absence of Chris Avallone was very felt. Yikes. Anyway, let's move. Anyway, yeah, you can support us patreon.com/GoCast where we complain and moan like this, but we get to use swear words. Are we supposed to be a positive show? What happened to that?
We are positive.
Yeah. We don't have
Alright,
Scott.
I've had nothing but a smile on my face.
Yeah, as you when you've been talking about Starfield and the Game Awards, you've been smiling, huh?
Hey, you know what? Anger and hatred just brings joy to my life.
Oh boy. Let's hopefully kick it up a notch and let's talk about some games that we've actually been playing. All right. There are a bunch of new games coming out this week. Of course, Dune Spice Wars comes out November 28th. That is an RTS. It was already released on PC, coming to Xbox Series consoles and Xbox One. Roller Drome, if you remember this, it was like the jet grind. It was like Tony Hawk on rollerblades with guns. Looks awesome. That's coming to Game Pass. I don't like to shill for Game Pass, but that seems like a great game for it. Coming to Xbox Series consoles November 28th. This game reminded me of you, Alyssa. The title alone, I thought of you. My next life is a villainess. All routes lead to doom. Pirates of the Disturbance. Coming to the Switch November 28th. That's a visual novel game. I assume it's going for a Guinness record or something with longest title, perhaps?
Not even close.
I mean,
I know.
There's that one like Japanese games that's like 27 or 28 words long.
I knew you were going to jump in with that factoid. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to speak out of turn. I didn't mean to make a joke.
Know your place.
That was so flagrantly wrong. Roots of Pacha comes to PS5, PS4, and Switch November 28th. Calico, where you play as magical girls running a cat cafe with very bizarre gameplay. You really got to look up a trailer for that one. Comes to PS5 and PS4 November 28th. Last Train Home is a RTS where you're escaping Czechoslovakia on a train, coming to PC November 28th. Forest Grove, a futuristic detective game, comes to all consoles and PC November 29th. Gangs of Sherwood is that strange PvE co-op, class-based shooter thing based on the Robin Hood mythos, coming to PS5, Xbox Series consoles and PC November 30th. Tevi comes to Switch and PC November 30th. This one's weird. Hitman Blood Money is getting a remaster with its reprisal edition, but it's only coming to iOS and Android November 30th. Why? Turok 3 Shadows of Oblivion is also getting remastered on all consoles and PC November 30th. CB, which game on this list looks the most exciting to you?
None.
Good stuff.
Dude, I'm sorry, but for a second there, I had to look up the Gangs of Sherwood trailer again because I'm like, yay, finally, a good Robin Hood swashbuckling game. And I look at it and I'm like, no, I does not want.
Yeah, the Gangs of Sherwood thing sucks because a Robin Hood video game sounds awesome on paper.
it does.
Yeah,
Especially, like a modern one, but no, it's just like this weird, goofy, cartoony co-op hack and slash game.
I mean, I guess if I have to pick one, I get Roller Drome for free. I'll check that out.
There you go. Alyssa, are any of these games sticking out to you? Is it Forest Grove?
That one does look interesting to me because I love being a detective.
Yes.
I do want to play that at some point. I would be interested in my next life as a villainess, but I have not read the manga, I haven't watched the anime, and I'm sure the game ties in somehow. So
I did not realize it was based on something.
Oh yeah. So I'm sure it ties in, so I would probably be confused out of my mind if I tried to play it. But yeah, Forest Grove. Yeah.
I think for me, I'm kind of with UCB. None of these look particularly interesting. I wish I could play Last Train Home, this little like World War One kind of game where you're escorting civilians out of Czechoslovakia via train, and it looks like you have to stop every now and again to fight off some bad guys. I think it looks kind of compelling. I don't know the story. It's based on real history. I think it'd be a fun way to learn it, but still NPC. So
yeah, and we already know Scott would choose Turok 3.
Right. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I'll pick that up at some point in life. Turok.
Yeah.
So Zach, you loved Lake, and I loved Lake, and now you've played Lake's DLC, Season's Greetings. Now, is it as delightful as the main game was? Are you still delivering mail and talking to the quirky residents of this small town?
No, it's strange. It's actually a third-person shooter now. It's kind of a survival.
Oh no, they ruined it.
Yeah, it's really.
Do we get to kill the cats with cupcakes?
Oh no, not the cats.
I actually have to throw them into. You have to cut out this like hole in the ice at one point and toss these cats in there. It's kind of messed up.
No.
But I appreciate when people are willing to change things up. You know.
It's also at Christmas too.
Yeah. Here comes Krampus.
Yeah. No, it is more Lake, which I love. I do love Lake. I think it's great. It's mail delivery game. If you remember from a couple years ago when the base game came out. This is a DLC. It is Christmas themed, which I think is cool because we always talk about Halloween themed DLCs.
Now we have a Christmas one.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to get a Christmas one. And you're basically delivering Christmas. You're Santa Claus. You're delivering Christmas packages.
Yes.
So you deliver a new cat.
Yes, and it's screaming.
Hey, there was actually a cat mission in the first game.
I know. I loved this game. So
you play it too?
Oh yeah.
Okay, we're all Lake lovers.
Well, it's safe to say, everybody, cats make a return.
Yes.
Hey!
No worries. It's a prequel to the main game, so this is about 9 months before Meredith comes to Providence Oaks. You play as her dad Thomas, who he took over the mail route for in the original game, and it gives you a different perspective on the town because everybody knows you and has known you for decades. So you just have kind of a different perspective, and they kind of a lot of people look to you for guidance, since you're the wise older courier, and it's fun, and there's a bunch of news stories. You get to learn how the mail truck got its nickname of the Goose.
Aww.
There's neat little things like that for to tie back into the main game, and there's just neat little news stories. There's some beef between the lady who owns the diner and the lady who owns the general store that you can help navigate, or there's a news crew that gets stranded in town, so you're helping kind of get them the things they need and get the parts to repair. So it's more like you're driving around, you're delivering packages. This game is so relaxing to me for whatever reason. I
know the first game was. I'm dying to play this game. This DLC.
It's so cozy. It's just nice. It is kind of funny because there's snow on the ground, right? So you can sort of drift the mail truck a little bit. You let it slide around in the snow and the ice. It's kind of, I don't know.
Whee!
But as much as I loved Lake, I guess I didn't remember how much I liked all these characters, because when I run into them, I'm like, oh, it's Angie, the video store clerk, how's she doing? Yeah, I got excited at seeing these people.
I really hope they continue and make more DLC for this.
Yes, more Lake.
Because part of the reason that sold me on Lake originally was you were like, it's the perfect slice of life game.
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so just being able to see throughout different time periods, just the people of that community, it has such the great makings of something that would be easily doable for DLC.
I mean, you make a good argument, or even full-on sequels that just take place in different decades or something. I think part of the appeal is the pre-technology of it for me. I like that there's no cell phones or tablets or anything like that, and news travels slowly, so you're kind of being involved or spreading the gossip. But I think there's a lot you could do here. Of course, you could always go to other towns, but there is something quite idyllic about Providence Oaks that I just want to hang out in here. Or
So the 2020s version would be Lake Amazon Driver.
Yeah, that would. Yeah. I don't think that would be as appealing to me as a game. Well, it's also just at that point, you're basically just dropping off parcels to every single house.
That's
you know,
true.
it would be the same amount of story, but 40 extra hours of delivering mail content.
Yeah, and you're not interacting with the people anymore. Everyone's just staying
true.
inside.
Everyone's afraid of you.
You're gonna have the one person that like buys like 50 packages a week, and you like got to make multiple trips back. To the mail truck.
You got to whip out your dolly and everything.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think
old lady with her 70 pounds of cat litter.
Oh, don't forget the longer you take, the less you get paid. You know, because Amazon is crushing on you. It'd be great. Yeah. What a nice, relaxing, cozy experience that would be. Or you could just be the USPS driver. And you're just kind of like sitting there waiting, and just doing it.
You're just posted up at the corner, drinking coffee, watching the Amazon truck go by.
You get one person who ships a book. You're like, take advantage of the free media shipping.
Oh no! Because then on the Sunday day, you got to make all the Amazon deliveries.
Oh my god, shoot. Well, that's a great horror game that they could make later on. Absolutely. But as for Lake Season's Greeting, it's great. It's it got me in the Christmas spirit. You know, all the houses have the Christmas lights strung up and snowmen out front.
Oh,
and,
that's so cute.
There's a couple new Christmas songs on the radio, but luckily they're Christmas songs I haven't heard before, so I assume they kind of continue the indie folk music of the original game, but with some Christmas tunes. But it's nice, you're not getting any Mariah Carey. You're not.
That's always a good thing.
Yeah, you don't have to drive thumbtacks through your eardrums or anything. It's pretty great. So it's hard because there's not a lot to say.
Yeah.
Like Season's Greetings, it really is just more of the game. It's about half the length, I would say, of the main game, which I guess makes sense because it's half the price.
It's true.
Okay.
And I did like playing as Meredith's dad, Thomas, and being all cutesy with his wife, Emily.
Aww.
She works at the motel, so sometimes you have to drop off packages while she's working. You can flirt with your wife. It's kind of cute. I don't know. It's just a nice, cozy, warm experience.
Very
nice.
Like,
I recommend it to everybody.
I'll definitely be playing it.
As long as you have patience, I guess. You do long stretches of driving, but that's the appeal to me.
Yeah, it's just so relaxing.
Look at the beautiful world, and it's just great.
You imagine you could switch up the soundtrack like you used to be able to with PS1.
Oh yeah, or as like Xbox, when you could put in your custom soundtracks.
Oh
yeah. Just delivering some mail, listen to some like heavy metal, just going around this like nice peaceful town.
Got my K-pop going because it totally matches the vibe of this game.
Yeah, heavy metal and K-pop, guys. Nothing says idyllic Oregon coastal town. Oh boy, let's jump over to it. Gods of the Twilight, Alyssa. This is a visual novel, right?
It is, yes.
You're playing it on Steam Deck. This is a Scott Clark tried this game as well, right?
He did. We did run into issues, both of us, which these have been fixed by now. But when we first started playing on Steam Deck, I think this was just a Steam Deck issue. The game would constantly freeze if you tried to save the game. So you go to the save menu, it would freeze. You'd lose your progress. And Scott lost all of his progress. I got kicked back to near the beginning of the game. But they did release a patch. It's fixed now. You don't have to worry about that. So they were very quick about fixing it. They are really listening to the community with any kind of bugs or anything of that nature. So rest assured, it's not going to happen to you. More than likely.
Volutian Design, right?
It is Volutian. I should have looked up the studio's full name.
Well, I was just saying, at least they're listening.
Yeah, props to them for listening. But I've actually finished this game by now, or what I can play of it so far. This is an early access title. And I really dig it. It's very heavily inspired by Norse mythology, but it's also a cyberpunk story.
Inspired by Norse mythology, so it is a video game released in the last 3 years, then, huh?
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. But I really like all the characters. It's pretty much fully voice acted. Inner thoughts aren't, but everything else fully voice acted. Voice actors are great. You can make your character be any kind of person you want them to be. You can make them nice. You can make them a jerk. You can make them flirt with anyone that they talk to.
is your character like a new person in the mythos, or are you like playing as Odin or something?
You can either choose to play as a woman named Althea or a guy named Farkas.
Okay.
So you do play as both, but the one you choose is in the forefront.
Interesting. Okay.
So I did choose to play as Althea, and they do have ties to Norse mythology, but I don't want to say anything about that because that's part of the appeal of the game is finding out how they're tied into that.
Okay, yeah, I was just making sure you weren't like playing as, Thor.
Oh, no,
basically.
no. I mean, you do hear names of certain, you hear about Odin and Loki.
Sure.
But you're not playing as them or anything. There's not much to say about the game since it is a visual novel. It's written very well. I did not see any typos, which I was pleasantly surprised by.
As a visual novel connoisseur, I'm sure that's high praise.
Especially considering the other visual novel I'm playing is full of them.
Yeah. I mean, as an outsider, I was surprised it's fully voiced. I think that's cool.
Oh, yeah. And I love the fact that it takes place in a futuristic Iceland, but everyone has different accents. There's a character that has an Australian accent. There are people with Finnish accents. Althea has... I don't know how to describe her accent, because one of her parents is Indian and the other is African American, I believe. So she has a different accent. You hear British accents, but they're all living in Iceland. And it's just kind of cool to hear people from different places, all in the same game, in the same city. So yeah, it's really cool. They didn't make everyone have the same accent. They're just like, yeah, be yourself.
Right, yeah, that's Mohammed over there. It's my Thor audition.
Yeah, you'd be voicing Hector in the game.
Oh, okay.
With that accent. But yeah, it's cool. And there is also a unique feature where you can go back, and if you didn't like the choice you made, you just go back in the dialogue a little bit. You can't go too far. So if you go too far ahead, you can't go back. But if you don't like what you chose, you can go back and choose a different option.
You're rocking the dagger of time while you're making these romantic decisions.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's cool. I mean, I think that's great. I think that's a fun feature.
Yeah. So, or if you just, wanted to see a different route or whatever, you could save the game and then go choose something different. But yeah, I like the fact that they let you, rewrite the story if you don't like the way it's going currently.
No, that's not how it happened. You said it's early access. Do they have? Mm-hmm. Is there are they releasing chapters at a time, or do we know
they are
yet?
Right now? If you buy the game right now, you get chapters 0 through 5, and then the developer said that they'll release 20 episodes total, but it's going to go through 2025. And they said,
okay,
you'll hear the interview in a bit, but one of the developers mentioned they're planning on releasing them in 3-episode increments after this.
Okay.
So I'm not sure when the next batch gets released, but I'm really itching for it because the way this ended, I'm like, this is a cliffhanger. I need more.
Well, see, that holds a great deal of appeal for me. It's I kind of wish more single player games would experiment with this idea of releasing more, like you approach it episodically almost, the narrative rollout.
Yeah.
But don't do it in a telltale way where sometimes you take a year between episodes, obviously. But I think there's a lot of appeal in that kind of episodic rollout.
Oh, I do too. And now I need 6, 7, 8 if they're releasing them in that order. Because the way this ended, I'm like, I need more.
Right. So you do recommend it for people to check out if they're interested? Oh
yeah, for sure. If you're interested in it, definitely check it out. Currently, you can get it for $20 on Steam. But if you think about it, you're getting 20 episodes. So that's $1 an episode.
Wow. What a bargain.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, we have an interview, but before we jump into that, I need to hear from CB here. Assassin's Creed Nexus, you're playing it. This thing looks awesome.
I can't even watch the trailer for this, so I'm assuming it's Motion Sickness City.
Ooh. You get nauseous from the trailer?
Yes, just from the trailer.
Oh, no.
So, yeah.
Wow. Well, CB, you've been parkouring around in Renaissance Italy then?
So you that's part of the game. There's some modern day stuff finally.
Whoa, they actually remembered, huh?
Yeah, they were like, oh yeah, we forgot. This is what we do. So yeah, you play a new character who is a hacker who's been hired by the Brotherhood to infiltrate Abstergo. And so I'm like, okay, cool. It's VR. Like I've been excited. I've been wanting this for a while. Put on the headset. First things first, like the first part of the game is AR. Like it's augmented reality. So it's using the cameras, and you have a phone conversation with Rebecca and the other guy that's
Sean.
Yeah, so they pop up Metal Gear Solid style. And like
That's
just their
cool.
picture talking back and forth between you and them. But then you
Assassin's Creed?
Yeah. You then meet like your boss for Abstergo, and you get loaded to the Animus. But yeah, you get to play as good old Ezio.
Oh boy, he's back. Is Roger Craig Smith back?
I can't really tell because like the dialogue seems a little off.
Okay.
It doesn't quite sound like him, so I have to do some research on that because I just started playing this today.
But Ezio is voiced.
Ezio is voiced.
Okay.
At some point in time, you get to play Connor and one other character. So I was just like, the best parts, delicious.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, I love Connor. He's my favorite assassin.
So, but one of the big areas that first start is Montergioni. Yeah.
Montergioni. Yeah.
So you get to bomb around there for a while.
That's cool.
And so that's a lot of fun. You get to run, you get to parkour.
How does is it free running, like, or are you doing the VR teleporting thing?
Nope, no. The people finally like, hey, look, we have 2 thumbsticks. Let's use it like a controller.
Whoa. Okay.
So left, you walk forward. Right, you can pan, and so you can kind of turn everything. Use your head, so you have like unlimited like walking and looking around. That part's awesome.
Yeah,
love it.
That's an advanced VR user move right there, I think.
Yeah. Those who get motion sick easily, stay far away. I even got a little like, ooh, my stomach's not happy right now.
I mean, just the description of the controllers alone, I started to feel a little woozy.
Yeah. But this game really does feel like 2 at some point in time. Because remember when you would like go to climb a wall in 2 and you would like, like, oh, look, I slipped and fell.
Yeah.
Does that a lot. The gripping for this is atrocious.
Oh no.
That's
like
not good.
You'll be like, grip, climb, grip, oh, dropped. Grip. It took me 10 minutes to climb a wall.
See, now you know how hard it is for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're like, but then you improve your grip strength by syncing. So we're back to like, achieving full sync.
Sure, yeah. Gotta get those bonus objectives, man, to feel more like your Ezio.
Yep, you're not kidding. So there's like these little like parkour challenge runs. You get up on top of the roofs, and for like dash parkour, it does the same thing. Hold forward on the thumbstick, hold down A, auto jumping for building to building, which as you're doing this, like you have free reign to look around. Ooh, be careful.
I feel like the auto jumping would be like if you're not expecting it. Oh my god, it would be so disorienting.
Yeah, and I mean you got to line it up too because like you'll have those poles that like run out from the buildings, and so you got to make sure because you can slip off the pole and fall.
Oh man.
So that like the traversal, it's very very complicated. It took me a bit to get used to it. The grip stuff still is not great. The combat though,
it's good or bad.
Oh, I'm getting goosebumps right now, dude. The first time, and So have you ever held an Oculus controller before?
Yes.
I
Okay,
have not.
you know-
no.
Okay, so it's got the triggers right here, that, like
on the back there.
on the back. You have to hold down the trigger and flick your wrist,
Wow.
and the hidden blade comes out. And dude, the first time I was just like, 6 to midnight immediately.
I
was
mean,
like-
it sounds so awesome.
But like the fact that you can look down and legitimately see your hands, because it does motion track hands,
Yeah.
see you do it, and you're just like, I feel amazing.
You are a blade in the crowd.
You're not kidding. It
Yeah.
is awesome. And so, and it does the first mission. It does the whole like, okay, we're gonna put you in a small area. This is how you duck. This is how you crouch. This is how you move. This is how you activate the hidden blade. Murk your first dude now. And slamming that thing home, and it has haptic feedback, by the way.
Nice.
So when you hit that hidden blade to the back of somebody, you're like, I feel amazing. And they're like, now you get a sword too. And so
Yeah,
it
buddy.
teaches you like blocking, parrying, and it does. So the first guy you're like going up against with the sword,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, block left. Okay, he's going to swing right, block right. And every now and then it's like, if you have like multiple successful blocks, which by the way, full free movement of the sword. So however you want to block, like you can go full Obi Annie. Feels
Start twirling
awesome.
your sword around.
But it stumbles them and leaves an opening, which then you can start attacking. This is like everything I wanted for combat. It is glorious. But this game has, other than the traversal, this game has like a very bad fatal flaw for me.
Oh no, you're singing its praises so
Oh,
highly.
dude, I hate the climbing traversal part of this, but I have the worst uncanny valley going on ever.
Okay, in reference to all the characters, then
All the characters, the heads
Okay.
don't look right. Like so when you first get to your hometown, you're greeted by this servant. You're talking to her, and the head just is like literally just stuck on this person. And you can do the whole Assassin's Creed, like move your head into their head and see like the floating eyeballs.
Oh yeah,
Dude,
classic.
it tripped me out so bad. But the head looks so robotic and like stiff, like when it talks to you. But then when you like look at this person's dress, it legitimately looks like satin.
Okay, yeah. Then it's got this weird fake head on top. of it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's trippy. And so
It's-
now I'm
it's
like,
just, it's just the animus, bro. It's not the game. Okay. It's just how
so
the
now I'm
animus-
just like, don't get too close to the people, or just stab them.
yeah. There you go. Just stab everybody.
Yeah,
You'll
they
feel
look
safe
too
that way.
weird. Stab them.
Oh, dude, I love the fact that like you can climb up on like the edge and like legitimately like reach up and just stab them in the gut and pull them off.
That's so cool, dude.
Dude, it's oh, I can't wait till this technology gets better.
I mean,
because
this is the most I've been sold on a VR game I think ever. Sounds
Ah.
amazing.
it is just perfect. Oh, and you can do the whole like air assassination, like stand at the
Yeah.
edge and just like watch somebody walk underneath, and it gives you a little indicator like they're in your range. Hold down A, walk forward, pull out the blade, and just right in the head.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
And the first time you do a leap of faith was a little nerve wracking because
Yeah.
it does the whole thing.
Yeah.
But instead of just like, oh look, you landed in the pile and climb out, and like, no, you see the hay pile from the inside.
Yeah, that's trippy.
So then you got to
That's-
like stand up and like move out of it.
It's so weird to imagine after all these years. I get,
So I'm just like, I'm like a fat kid in a candy store right now
yeah.
because I am a
Sure.
fat kid and I love candy.
I'm trying to imagine Alyssa doing the leap of faith and just projectile vomiting all over her apartment or her house.
No, I'd
Pretty
never
terrible.
touch that game again.
Yeah,
Ooh,
it would be terrible.
I will also warn you, make sure you have plenty of space and no children around because you will just full on haymaker them.
Good. That'll learn them.
I will say they do a phenomenal job though of the moment somebody walks in, like the game just immediately pauses and brings up the blue grid. So it's just like, we know that you're probably going to deck somebody, like, so they did a very good job on that.
That's good.
But, like, Zach, this is the game, man.
Yeah, dude, I got to fly out to Rockford just to play this game.
Oh, dude. I really hope that they do some work with the... I'm currently doing, like, an update, and I'm going to recalibrate my controllers just to see if I can't fix, like, the controller issue that I'm having, like, with the gripping.
Yeah.
But if that gets fixed, I don't know, man. This could legitimately make my Game of the Year list.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's
like
perfectly understandable.
A surprise late edition.
I mean, it's not the VR guy, so
it's not the prettiest. It's not the prettiest looking thing, but everything that I've wanted in a VR game, especially in one of my favorite franchises, like other companies out there need to take note of this game because they're doing it right.
I mean, that's as high a praise as we could hope for. Well, let's transition off of that. Alyssa, you and Scott.
Yes, both of us.
Interview.
Mm-hmm.
You sat down with Ashley Micks, co-founder of Volutian Design and developer of Gods of the Twilight, for an interview to talk about the early access game we were just raving about. So let's hear that right now.
Greetings, programs, and welcome to this very special edition of The Gaming Outsider. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and I'm joined by my good friend, the lovely Alyssa White. How you doing, Alyssa?
Aw, thank you, Scott. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We got a special treat for our listeners.
We do.
And because we don't get to do this too often, but whenever we do, we try to take advantage of it. We have the co-developer and founder of, boy, I should have asked if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Is it Volutian Design, Ashley?
That's right.
Volutian Design, Ashley Micks. How are you doing, Ashley?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
We're really excited to talk to you about it. I want to give you a little history of our experience with visual novels, because Alyssa is our resident visual novel expert on the show. She plays them religiously. Whenever we get one thrown at us through a press release, she is all over it. My experience, just so you're aware, with visual novels is I've played Doki Doki Literature Club. So me playing Gods of the Twilight, which is the game that you've developed here, is my second foray into the genre, if you will. So Alyssa's going to have some better questions for you because I am new to the genre, as it were. But we're really excited to talk to us about it. So talk to us about the company itself. How long have you guys been around, and is this your debut game, or have you made some other games?
Well, yeah, this is the first game that the studio has made. We started in the beginning of 2020 working on this, not long before the pandemic, actually. I know a lot of people kicked off their dream projects during the pandemic. We were actually slightly before. So my co-developer is in Brazil, and I was visiting him in January 2020, and we were sort of doing some early brainstorming then. We know each other from an online role-playing community, and so we'd known each other since 2014. So we'd been sort of collaboratively doing storytelling in that community for a time, and then we wanted to do something together. I had been doing game development in Unreal Engine for, about as long, since the end of 2014. So, so I had been doing some work in gaming engines before, but this is, our first sort of project that we really call our own.
And what's the name of your partner?
Leandro.
Okay, so are you doing the technical stuff, like the programming, and he's doing the writing? Or are you guys doing a little bit of everything? How does that work?
We're sort of splitting the writing and the coding. So so we have two protagonists in the game, Althea and Farkas. So each of us will write the first draft of the scenes that are in each of their respective perspectives, and then we will go through and edit each other's work so that we sort of get the different perspectives in there. Leandro does have more of a narrative design background, though, and I have more of a technical background, so there is that as well. But he's learned enough Python that he can write directly into the game.
Very cool. So editing each other's work, that sounds familiar, right, Alyssa?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We do that with a lot of the written content here. So we're really excited to talk to you about Gods of the Twilight, because like I said, it's my first time really playing one of these outside of, that one exception. So can you kind of give everybody the quick elevator pitch about what the game is, what the premise and the plot lines? I mean, I know you don't want to give too much away because I was surprised by some of the stuff in the first chapter alone because I didn't read the synopsis. I just jumped right into it. So I don't know how much you want to tell people story-wise because I know you want to keep some spoilers aside.
Yeah, it's a game about discovering magic in a cyberpunk world. Magic returning to a world of tech. And so that means discovering things about yourself and events sort of taking shape around you and sort of coming to understand what is actually going on. There's a lot of sort of figuring out and a lot of mystery because if you grow up in this world and you think that you know how the world works, you think that, you're surrounded by, technology, certain, countries and the world is the way it is, and you're confronted with things that you don't understand, then you're starting to piece together what this means and what your place in all of it is. So that is part of it, is sort of exploring and trying to make sense of all of these events that are starting to take shape around you and even target you to some degree. So,
Very cool.
So, Gods of the Twilight features Norse mythology and a cyberpunk version of Iceland. How did you weave these two pretty much different narratives together? And you did it in a really excellent way, by the way. But I'm just curious how you managed to fit these two things together so seamlessly.
Well, I mean, the past is what creates the present, right? So the stories that humanity has been telling for thousands of years are part of us. And they're part of how we continue to be, and they're part of the future that we're creating. So it actually, things tend to fit together, like in my mind, at least surprisingly well, because it's still a common thread of humanity there. Especially when we set the scene in the countries that have, the traditions that we are bringing back, that are sort of re-emerging in the world of our game. The story that I often tell is that Leandro and I were originally going to write a medieval fantasy story that was Norse inspired. Oh. But when we got going on that version of the plot, we realized that story was going to lead to some even bigger events happening in the future. And so we decided to go ahead and just start the game in the future and let the characters gradually remember these past lives where there were some things that were left unresolved. And now they're sort of starting to remember that and things are starting to take shape again.
That's awesome. And one of the things that stood out to us in a positive way was how diverse the voice actors were. There's lots of different accents here. What drove those casting decisions when you were putting together this story?
Well, the apocalypse affects everyone. It's the whole world. It's Ragnarok may be a Norse thing, but the setting of our game is a world where all mythologies are true at the same time. And they actually fit together surprisingly well because human cultures have had a lot of crosstalk between them. And the same gods in one culture often are sort of very similar to ones in another by perhaps slightly different names. So it is inherently diverse when you are talking about the end of the world, I guess. And so when you have these characters who are from a lot of different places and have a lot of different backgrounds, we want to do the best job we can to represent them. And so when we were doing our casting calls, it was probably one of the most challenging casting calls that our casting director had seen, because we had all these, characters from specific places. And, we wanted to do the best job we could. And it miraculously, we were able to find, people from even like very small countries that, just don't have a lot of, actors proportionally to perhaps the United States, which has a larger population. So there are more actors. But, we were very grateful to find people to represent the places that they grew up or the places that their families are from.
That's really awesome. The inclusion of game-altering choices such as changing the storyline and influencing character relationships is really awesome, but it must be incredibly challenging to implement in a game like this. What's the development process like?
Well, it's a whole lot of following our inspiration, honestly, because as people with a background running D&D campaigns, we like to think ahead about all the different choices that characters could make. And it's one of the reasons that we ended up not making a linear novel. Like we could have written a fantasy novel together, but we wanted to make it interactive because we just have so many ideas about the different ways that things can go. And we just, you get inspired and you write things down and you're like, how can I fit this in? But then the actual scripting of it, you have to be careful that it doesn't become intractable with too many different possibilities for you to actually have the bandwidth to write. So there are major and minor ways that things can branch. There are, some choices that will take you down a completely different path from anything else. But there are some choices where there's a variable that gets stored. And then every time that thing comes up again, that variable, we check that variable, and then you get a different version of the dialogue based on that. So there are some things that are more subtle than others, like it might be a very similar line, but the character says it with a different attitude because of something that happened earlier. Or it could be you're in a completely different environment with a different set of allies and you're doing something else. So, so we just have to we have a finite number of sort of major branches, but then we have just hundreds of other variables that can shape the flavor of the rest of the story.
Do you find that lends to, replayability for people to go through and play again with different choices? Or is this a game where you want them to sit down and have their experience and that be what they have?
Oh, we want people to explore, for sure. I mean, definitely play the game the way that you want to. And what you prefer to do is to play through it once and see how the world reacts to you and have that be your experience, then that's fine. That's perfectly valid. But the way that I like to experience it is to explore all the different possibilities. And we want to make that as easy for people to do as possible, which is why we make it easy for people to scroll back in time through the game if they want to try a different choice. There are some, narrative choice games that make that difficult. And, you have to reload a save or you have to restart the game in order to do that. I want to make it easy. I want you to be able to explore as much as you want. So, and just see all the different timelines if you want to.
Yeah, that was something I was not expecting in a visual novel. I'm so used to you make a choice and you're stuck with it.
Yeah, it's a permanent thing.
Yeah, I mean, Life is Strange might be the one exception I have in mind, but there's a little bit more than just visual novel in that one too. So, one of the things I've always wanted to ask a developer of any game of any genre is, when it comes to early access, what are the benefits and challenges that come with starting a game in early access? Because I genuinely don't know. I'm not a developer. I don't know the ins and outs of it. So, what do you find there?
Early access is something that was recommended to me by Black Tabby Games. I was fortunate enough to get to talk to the developers of Scarlet Hollow and Slay the Princess a couple of years ago after being introduced to them. And they were the ones who recommended early access. Talking to them and to if you're familiar with the How to Market a Game blog, that was the source of that advice. So the alternative was to release the game and have the additional chapters be DLC, basically. But they advised against that because when you do DLC, people often don't come back. People will get a small amount of the game and then they just won't come back. But I want to make it easy for people to get the whole thing. So we're basically just offering you a season pass. And that's what the early access purchase basically is a season pass. You're getting the first 5 chapters now, and then as we release them, you automatically get the other chapters without having to come back and pay again. So, it's early access. It just acknowledges the fact that not all the chapters are there yet. You're at the beginning of the season where we're going to continue releasing more content. I think it's an accurate way of describing the state that the game is in as well.
Well, this game is going to be an epic game in length. It's going to be 20 chapters total so far in this season, correct? Currently, we can play 5 plus the chapter 0, but the rest are going to be released throughout until 2025. How difficult is this to schedule and just release in this state?
To schedule?
Yeah, just to schedule the release dates for each of the chapters.
To predict, I think I can give my best prediction, but I tend to like to give broad predictions because as we get closer, it'll be more clear. The development time for this first installment was probably the longest because we had to get all of our core assets in place in terms of the character sprites, the musical tracks, many of the assets, the GUI, everything. And we can reuse a lot of that going forward. There's going to be new art, of course, as the new chapters come out, but we're not going to have to redo the foundations. With that said, I would estimate that we probably will take until some point in 2025 to get to the end of season 1. And I would guess that we'd be releasing a new set of 5 to 6 chapters every 6 to 12 months. So just based on past experience, yeah. So that's my estimate, and it will be refined, and we'll be announcing more detail as we go. But yeah.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the characters and the decisions behind that, because you've made these lead characters reincarnated versions of Norse gods, which is a really unique touch. And was it difficult deciding what would be portrayed, or were they already on the top of the list for you in those decision trees?
What would be portrayed in terms of their character traits, or
right? Well, and visually.
Oh, well, I think that before we got into this project and really started writing them, we already had some concepts in our mind about what these gods are like. I had first gotten really interested in Norse mythology when I went through Neil Gaiman's book, Norse Mythology, which is a great retelling of the myths, which I recommend to everyone.
I just read it, actually.
Yeah. And if you do the audiobook version, then he does a great job of, storytelling himself. You really feel like you're around a campfire with him, and he does the voices and everything. It's really great. But
that's exactly what I did. It's so good.
Yeah. So they're really like colorful and relatable personalities. And so I don't know, like it's easy for those things to sort of resonate with us as writers, and for us to find those characters within ourselves to write them. And so yeah, in terms of what character traits, these reincarnated versions might have, it came from there. And there is some thought that goes into, well, if this individual was reborn in the modern world or a future world, how might they be different, right? Because growing up in a culture 1,000 years ago is going to be different. That culture has different perspectives. That culture puts different expectations on you growing up, and now it might be different. So yeah, there are some aspects of the characters that are not exactly the same as mythology, but you can tell that it's the same person underneath, I think.
The game states that it's rated R, not X, so anyone listening that was hoping for that, you're not getting that.
I love how they tell you that right at the beginning. Yeah. Don't get too excited.
Yeah, and that you'll be doing some pretty twisted stuff in it. And that's right off the bat. Was that a natural part of the story, or were those aspects added to make it feel more realistic to what someone in real life would do?
Well, the mythology is already like that too. A lot of mythological stories can get pretty dark or pretty disturbing or pretty sexual. So we do want to be, we don't want to have to censor ourselves in that regard.
Yeah.
Either with respect to the nature of the stories, the stories that we're inspired by, or with respect to our own thoughts or our own language. So it'll just be the most raw and authentic if we do it that way. Yeah.
I really like that aspect of it too.
Yeah. Alyssa really likes things as dark as possible. I think she tweeted the other day that she was looking for a dark and gnarly game to help her get through an emotional moment.
Just like movies, yeah. I don't know. More realistic things kind of draw me in.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
One of the things that I always love to ask developers, as an aspiring voice actor myself, is how you find your vocal cast. I know you mentioned that you had such a wide pool of very diverse possibilities, but what made you land on the choices that you did, and how did you get the big names that you did?
Oh, well, if you're talking about big names as in like people, Kelsey, who has been in Genshin Impact, and Amina, who's been in Baldur's Gate, and Ellis, who's been in Smite. Well, they found us through Twitter. We posted a casting call on Twitter, and they sent us an email with their audition recordings, the same as anyone else.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So there's hope for me, is what you're saying.
Yeah, you
there's hope for anyone.
I just got to get my name out there is all I got to do.
Well, you've got to be sending out auditions like every day. I mean, like voice actors, even voice actors who have landed great gigs like them, they are just auditioning constantly and getting rejected. Right. Like, I mean, I think it's good to have a casting rate of 1% to 2% of your auditions or something like that. So yeah, you need to be auditioning all the time.
Definitely.
And prepare to be rejected.
Yeah.
A lot.
And don't take it personally, because every place that is doing casting calls gets a lot of auditions, especially if it's
Right.
online. They're going to get a lot of because every voice actor is looking for, so if you get rejected, probably there were like 100 other people looking for that role. So it's not even.
Absolutely.
And we got a lot of good auditions. It was difficult. We made some difficult decisions. There were other people who probably could have done a great job too. So, yeah.
Right.
We've already touched on this topic as well, but unlike most visual novels where you're stuck with a permanent decision, if I can speak, in this one you can rewind the game to select a different choice if you're not happy with what you made. What made you want to include this as a gameplay option?
That's just how I like to play visual novels. Like, I get frustrated when I'm playing a Ren'Py game and I can't scroll up and do that. I'm just like, why did you lock that? I want to see what happens. Like, just let me appreciate the story and all that you've written in the most efficient way possible. Like, why do you want to hide your writing from me? You wrote it so that you could share it, right? So, yeah, I mean, to be fair, there is a limit to how far you can scroll back, and that's just the way that the game engine is written. But yeah, I mean, we want to make it easy to explore.
That's a really unique perspective that I've never heard.
Yeah.
I wrote this stuff. I want you to read it. Like, of course. Why would you want to bury it? Or
we all want our stuff to be written.
If you're interested in exploring that path at all, then I'm happy to share it with you.
Yeah, that's a really great idea.
The writing in this is excellent, by the way. I am loving it. So, yeah, this definitely needs to be read. So, I think it's awesome that you included this as an option.
One of the things that stood out to me as well is the sound design. Again, I'm assuming this is something that's prevalent in games of this nature in this genre. But I mean, I was hearing things in stereo. I'm hearing steps coming from behind me, and just the little I don't know, Foley effects were very effective, and something that I just, again, not being a part of the genre, didn't know that's how it was. Are you doing all those things yourselves? Are you getting samples online, or how are you doing those
both? We had a sound designer who created some custom sounds for us, and we also have gotten a number of royalty-free sounds from Freesound. So it's both. And I've also recorded a few sounds here on my microphone, like as needed, as well in a pinch. I don't have the best sound treated space, but for some small things, that's okay. Right. Yeah.
That's awesome. I would love to see a video of somebody just doing Foley in their basement or in their their apartment, just making all these funny noises.
Yeah. Voice actors at 3 a.m.
Yeah, right.
Recording with somebody on the other side of the world.
Exactly, especially when you don't have like a soundproof booth where like nobody can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually recorded some music down here before, and I try to do it when my wife isn't home. So like I'll be down here worried that she's gonna walk in the door and hear me just singing at the top of my lungs to nobody. It's gonna sound crazy.
Yeah, but, I mean we needed voice actors to scream and stuff, and they're at home, so
yeah. But you touched on the early access a little bit already, and it sounds like if you buy early access, you're going to get everything. So you don't have to worry about paying anything extra. And so the rest of the chapters are going to be added for no additional cost. Yeah. I think that's awesome. That's a really cool model. And so it's not like you're giving them a taste and then making them pay for the rest of the story, because that's always a bummer.
Yeah, it is. I know, and with mobile games, there is a bit of a business model to make people pay for each little increment, so that the core game they can say that it's free. The whole like freemium model. And that works for some people, but personally, I prefer to just, once I have the story, I want to have full access to explore as much as I want. Especially the games that'll make you pay for like the good choices. Like you're paying for the choice. Like you have to spend gems on the choice. And I understand, like, if that's a business model that works for you, okay, but like I don't really want to do that. So yeah, I want people to just have the game and like have like freedom to do what they want. So yeah, it's 20 chapters, $20.
Well worth it, I think. And like you said, I feel like if you're paying for specific choices, that's also going to influence my decision. Like I want my decision to be organic, in the way that either I think or my character would do, not in a way that the money tells me to.
Exactly, but when a game does things that way, what they often do is they make the choice that you have to pay for the obvious right choice. right?
Yeah.
And it's like, if you choose the free choices, it feels like it's just the wrong thing to say. They're making you say something rude that you don't want to say. They're making you say something that's obviously going to backfire, or it's preventing you from pursuing a romance option that you want to pursue if you don't pay. So it's a little bit different. Like, we like to make choices in our game that there isn't necessarily a right answer. Where it's more about, how do you want to play this? How do you feel about the situation? What feels right for you? Or, it's an ambiguous situation and you're going to have to make the best call you can based on the information you have, as opposed to an obvious right answer.
And those are the kind of decisions I always prefer. I mean, there are games that I've played where, the decisions were obvious right or wrong. I mean, I'm thinking things like Infamous and Mass Effect.
Oh, yeah. Where good or evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that to me makes it feel more like a video game, because when I played both sides of the coin, like in Infamous, I played through a completely good character, and then I played through my second time as a completely bad character, and it just affected the gameplay outside of that. But I wanted to affect the story more, and doing it organically with this, with those different permutations that you've got, is something that's vastly more interesting to me. So kudos to you for that decision. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
It is.
Norse mythology is also not very good versus evil in the first place, because all of the characters in Norse mythology are complex. They are both relatable and flawed, and you can, empathize with all of them, I think.
That sounds really great. I need to dive more into this for sure. It's very, very interesting. I was very pleasantly surprised.
It is.
I went into, I'm not going to lie, Ashley, I went into it a little bit like, I don't know about this because I'm not the visual novel guy, but I am really surprised by the storytelling, and it's akin to reading a book, but having the sound effects and the choice decisions and all that. So, what advice would you give to somebody like me that has just stayed far away from visual novels? They just want to shoot stuff and they want to wipe out enemies and that kind of things. What advice would you give to people like that to give a visual novel a try, especially yours?
It's just a different type of media. Like, if you like anime, if you like graphic novels or manga, or if you like novels or audiobooks, those things don't have game mechanics either, but you still love the story. So if your favorite anime let you make choices, wouldn't that be more interesting?
Oh, yeah, people will be all over that.
Yeah, or that's exactly what we want to make. We would love to have this be fully animated and put it on Netflix at some point.
Oh, that would be incredible.
But for now, this is what we're doing. But yeah, I mean, or if you're reading a webtoon or a manga and it's interactive, you get to, click and make choices that affect the story. Wouldn't that be kind of, interesting? So, you don't need to stay stuck in a certain preconceived notion about what a game is, or what a video game needs to be. It's just a different type of media. It's a choose your own adventure book that has character art and voice acting, So what's not to love?
Those choose your own adventure novels were such a revelation when I was in elementary school.
Oh, yeah, I used to love those so much.
Yeah.
And I would go back when I would hit an end, I'd be like, no, I have to know what the other stories are. And that's just like visual novels today.
Yeah, and it, like, choose your own adventure books, there were a lot of them that, it wasn't great literature per se, but just the novelty of being able to make choices and see how they turn out was still incredibly entertaining. Like, I did the Goosebumps choose your own adventures back in the day, and it's like, these are just getting churned out, these stories, but it's still a great deal of fun.
Yeah, it's always a blast, and it makes you feel like you have ownership in the story too, instead of just regurgitating somebody else's story. You almost have onus in what happens, even though those decisions were pretty much binary, but you still felt like they were your decisions. I got this story because of the choice I made. So if you like that concept, and those are prevalent in other games as well. This one is just done with visual novel setting instead of without the action. I mean, there's action in the games, but it's not like you're not controlling a character and hacking and slashing and shooting. So, and I feel like those moments are still impactful in this game, which was something I found to be a pleasant surprise. When you get into fights, part of the Foley is really great, and it just makes you feel immersed in the story. It's like listening to not the audio books, but like when you get those podcasts that do like audio novels that have the stuff in the background.
Yeah.
So it's
a radio drama.
There you go.
Mhm.
I explain it to people like it's like that, but you're also having the visual part of it too. So you get to actually see what the character looks like, and instead of just visualizing it in your head and then getting mad when they make the TV series of it. And that's not what the character looks like. You know what I mean? So, all right. Well, again, the game is Gods of the Twilight. It is available in early access right now. And if you do get in early access, like Ashley said, for $20, you get all of it as it comes released. So there's you don't have to worry about paying for any DLC. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us, Ashley. This was really great. This whole experience has opened my eyes to the genre, and I'm very happy. I'm always looking for new experiences, and I love that this has been the game that has brought that forth for me.
Well, I'm glad too. It's a privilege to be that first experience for someone.
Yeah.
We gotta convert you, Scott.
Alyssa's been trying to convert me to a lot of things. Her recommendations with anime and K-pop music.
Yeah.
And she's
I try
hard.
to convert everyone, and it's probably annoying, but I will say I feel like Gods of the Twilight is a really good jumping on point if you've never really played visual novels, because you do have a lot of choices with your character. You can make them act a certain way one time, and another time you give their personality a different twist. Or I like that you can flirt with pretty much whoever. It's not, you can only flirt with this gender or this person. I mean, if you want, you can flirt with everyone in the dialogue options. I mean, you have so many choices, and it's really well written. The voice acting's great. It looks amazing, sounds amazing. I think it's a really good stepping stone if you're not already into visual novels, but if you are, I think you're going to really enjoy this one as well, because I'm loving it so much, and I cannot wait to continue playing it and see what comes out in the future. It's just, I'm hooked.
I'm so glad. Thank you.
So I know you're right in the midst of release here, and it sounds crazy to ask you about the future, but what's next in line for Volutian Design? Are you going to go with another visual novel after this one, assuming it's successful?
Oh, well, I mean, this one is going to last us a while. It's possible that while we're working on this, we may do some game jams or some smaller projects on the side, but Gods of the Twilight, we have 3 seasons planned. And
oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's how long we're gonna, take through the Ragnarok arc. And in every season, it is possible that the world could end sooner, depending on your choices. But yeah, I mean, we have a lot of content planned for this game.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, and last question is, where can everybody follow you and your partner's work?
In terms of social media, we're the most active on Twitter. So at Gods of Twilight. And there is also our Discord, which is linked from our Twitter, and also you can find both of those links in the game itself and on our Steam page.
Awesome. Ashley, we really appreciate you taking the time on a Wednesday evening. It was really a pleasure to talk to you, and I wish you all the best with this release. I think it's pretty cool what you're doing here.
Thanks again for having me.
Not a problem.
Thank you for coming on.
You can always hang out with us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/thegocast. You can always go over, hang out with us on Discord. That's where you'll find me, because I'm not on that stinky little Facebook website.
Good for you.
Over on our Discord, and you can find the link here in these very show notes or on the website, thegamingoutsider.com. Shout out, I don't know, Super Sport Billy. How you doing? Recent addition to the Discord. Review us on podcast platforms. It always goes a long way. I'm not good at this shilling stuff. Scott does this stuff so naturally. But me, just listen to the show and enjoy yourselves, okay? You know what? Review if you want to. How about that? But you don't have to. But you can find our stuff over at thegamingoutsider.com, where we have written reviews as well. You can find my review of Alan Wake 2 up there right now, and CJ Moore's review of Ugly. And there should be more by the time you listen to this. So, if you like reading, we do provide content for that as well. But without further ado, let's jump into our From the Outside In topic. All right. Guys, you'll notice that Yellow Belly Coward Scott Clark is not here, as we are here to talk about spoilers. We've talked about spoilers in the past, and we even did a Patreon episode where we talked spoiler-free about several games. Well, the one thing we didn't cover was the etiquette when it comes to discussing major plot points of video games. What's the proper time frame when it comes to talking about freely about spoilery aspects of games. So I need to know, what do the two of you think? It's been a hot topic around here lately, mostly for one guy. Some of our community think we dance around spoilers too much. How long is the proper time before you should be cautious to talk about major narrative moments in our favorite games? Is Scott being too cautious? Yes. CB, what do you have to say on the matter?
If it's within the first week, like things like TV shows or like major game releases, like a game release that everybody's talking about, and there's a pivotal moment, and like the game hasn't been out for like 12 hours, and you're already blasting it to the fact that like like if you're going out of your way to spoil something, like I will punch you in the kidneys till you pee blood.
Oh,
sure. Wow. Okay. Good visual. I like it.
See, that's my like if you give good notification, like, hey, if you keep reading, you're gonna run into spoilers. Like, right. Okay, I'm like, I will forego your article for now until I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I have a feeling this is maybe what you were indicating. I will, as long as you give advance notice. But if you're like just walking around and be like, hey guys, did you know that?
Yeah, you don't want to ruin the fact that the Justice League show up in Spider-Man 2. You don't want to ruin that.
Yeah. But I mean, like when you go out of your way to like specifically ruin something for somebody, like say you didn't agree with how the ending of game A was, and you're like, this game's so bad, like they did this for the ending, blah blah, and like I'm a punch you. I may punch you. Because that bothers me. Because if I'm spending $70 of my money to enjoy an experience, yes, now a couple months in, like the game's no longer like people have moved on. Okay, sure. If you let it slip, it happens.
Yeah.
That's my view on it. Like
Yeah, I think, yeah. What about you, Alyssa?
I'm someone that, when I talk about things, I just purposely don't say spoilers. Occasionally I will mess up and one slips out and I feel terrible. But I try to keep the mindset that, yeah, most people, if they want to play it or watch it or read it, just in spoilers in general, they would have done it already, but I keep in mind that some people can't do that. They can't watch it or play it immediately.
Sure.
So I just don't mention spoilers. I would say, I guess with a baseline, I'd say a couple months at least. Try to wait, but yeah, it's just for me personally. I don't like spoiling things for people. Of course, I love to talk about stuff I finished with people that have also finished it, or if I can't find anyone like that, I will purposely like say my dad comes home. He has no interest in games or whatever. I'll just tell him the whole story and be like, so this happened, this happened, this happened. But I'm not going to spoil it for someone that is looking forward to playing it and they haven't had the chance to play it due to monetary reasons or just having a busy work-life schedule or being disabled, anything of that nature. I don't want to ruin the fun for anyone. And I'm also someone that I don't like to be spoiled about things, which luckily on social media I follow people that don't spoil things. But I'm also like, if I'm going to spoil something, I'm going to spoil it myself.
Sure, yeah.
I do that all the time with books. Or if it involves, like, romantic couple in a TV show or something, I can't wait until the end. I have to know then.
You need to know if they're going to get together?
Yeah, and then I go through the journey, because I need to know the destination beforehand. But
right, you don't want to be devastated at the end?
But my thing is, if I'm going to be spoiled, I want to be the one to spoil myself. I don't want other people to do it. That's why I don't reveal spoilers, and I'm probably similar to Scott with being cautious in that regard, because, again, I don't want to ruin the fun for anyone, but I do realize the reason why people don't like us not talking about spoilers, and I do think it's reasonable if we say, hey, spoiler alert, spoiler warning, for the next minute, 30 seconds, whatever, we're going to talk about this game. I think that's reasonable.
I do get that to a point. I mean, if I'm having a one-on-one conversation with someone,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, have you played this? No, I haven't. Okay, cool. Then I just won't talk about it. But like, say we're at a theater watching the movie Titanic. I'm gonna stand outside that theater and be like, guess what? Boat sinks. Because, but I mean, it's been a while. If you walked into the movie Titanic thinking that the boat wasn't gonna sink, then you're an idiot in your own right. But I guess a year. Like if it's beyond a year, then I'm like, yeah, guess what? It's open season.
Yeah, as Aaron Peterson said.
Yeah,
1 year that it's open season. I mean, I mostly agree. I think the year is a good hard rule. For me, there are some spoilers, like where do you draw the line? Because would you get mad at somebody if they were in a public setting and they're like, you make the classic, like, no, Luke, I am your father joke. Are you allowed to get mad at that person because they just spoiled Star Wars for somebody's potentially? And that's where I get at with some of these spoilers that are just part of the conversation, part of the general knowledge, like the Final Fantasy VII one we always talk about. Mm-hmm. And when you have to always dance around those things, it makes conversing difficult. And I think obviously there can be no hard and fast rule in the public consciousness, but I think a year is more than fair to allow to where, like, if I spoiled what happens at the end of the first Last of Us after a year, I don't feel like the wrath of God should come down on me. I didn't do it intentionally trying to ruin anybody's time. It might have come up because I was trying to illustrate a point or something. That being said, I never want to spoil anything, like Alyssa said, and ruin the fun for somebody. But in the course of conversation, things and examples get brought up. It happens all the time. For everything, right? If you're talking about getting in a car crash, you might use an example of something you've had. So if you talk about a great plot twist, you might bring up an example. I think that's just kind of natural conversational. I think people are too afraid of spoilers because getting a plot beat ruined for you is not going to ruin the game or the story necessarily. I knew the ending of Red Dead Redemption 2 before I got there, and it was no less powerful a story. I think people put too much pressure on themselves to avoid spoilers, and they can potentially ruin things they might otherwise love and enjoy because one thing got ruined. But especially with video games, there are dozens of hours. There's so many plot points happening. If one thing gets ruined, it's not going to ruin the whole story. And if it can ruin the whole story, then it must not have been a very good one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess some of this also falls on. I'm hot take here. I guess this also falls on the person that you're talking to at some point in time too. Like, if we're having a conversation about a game that you haven't finished and I've finished, I hope you would at least take the moral high ground and be like, "Hey, I haven't finished this. Please stop." And then, okay. Yeah. But if you're just like, I'm gonna keep talking until you tell me to shut up.
Sure. I mean, this is different for a podcast where we can't. The people who don't want to get spoiled can't jump in here. But I think I think we just gotta come up with a hard, fast rule of like, hey, if it's over a year, we're not gonna try to spoil anything. But if something happens to get spoiled, that is unfortunate. But it's like when the Hobbit movies were coming out, and everyone was like getting mad about Hobbit spoilers, and I was like, the books have been out for 60 years.
And they came out before Lord of the Rings.
Okay,
I don't know what else to tell you.
But right there, like, okay, that. Okay, let's say it's been 3 weeks after a game comes out, and that like the four of us have been playing it religiously because like it's the number one release of the year.
Sure.
Be like, okay, they're like we put in our episode like the games we've been playing, the new games that we're playing. Be like, ooh, I can skip a couple minutes there and move on with my day.
Yeah, that would be wise if you're hypersensitive. I think. I mean, I think it's also on us to be like, oh man, we've got to talk about what happens in chapter 4 of Alan's story. Skip ahead 2 minutes. I don't think that's difficult to say.
Yeah, I mean, with a brand new release, granted, yes, I will admit I am guilty of this, talking about some TV shows that I may or may not have spoiled on this podcast, and have been called out for it. I am
spoilers
sorry.
Spoilers is a difficult conversation overall.
It is, yeah.
Because one person's spoiler is not another person's spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
One thing that drives me nuts is when people say, "No, this isn't a spoiler. It happens right at the beginning." You know, or they'll
I've
tell you
been
something.
guilty of doing that too.
They'll tell you a big plot twist up front. You know, because they're excited because hey, it was a fun surprise. But guess what? That means it's gonna be a surprise to everyone else that plays too. So when you say, "Oh, but don't worry about that. It's not a spoiler. It happens right at the start." Like, no, it was a spoiler. It was a twist. You know, what happens to Commander Shepard in the beginning 30 minutes of Mass Effect 2 is a massive twist.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like then, but people, I remember when that game comes out, they're like, man, it's crazy how, your ship gets blown up at the beginning. It's like, it was like, oh, don't worry, it's not a twist, so that happens right away. Like, no, it was. It wasn't in the marketing. It was they wanted that to be a surprise. That annoys me, where people try to excuse themselves because it happens at the beginning. But that might not bother a lot of people. You know, so I just feel like
I've never played Mass Effect, so I mean, I can openly tell you that doesn't ruin anything for me.
And again, I think if one spoiler does ruin a whole story, then it was a poor story. Like if you know the Sixth Sense twist that Bruce Willis is dead, but then if you watch the movie and you find no enjoyment in it, then the twist was poorly structured anyway. Because the movie should be enjoyable regardless.
See,
sure, yeah.
I think the better choice on that one would have been like who the actual killer in Psycho is.
Yeah,
because
because everybody knows, right?
I've actually met quite a few people that have never seen it.
But that to me is like, then I feel like they almost don't care about seeing it, right?
Or the original Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
because there's
the first one. Yeah,
because there's a lot of people that don't understand what the first one was versus the rest of the series.
But there's another example of all of the sequels. I guess they don't. Never mind. I take it back. I was on.
We're treading on dangerous ground with that.
No, I wasn't. No, I didn't care about the spoiler. I was going to say the fact that there are sequels is a spoiler, but I forget how ingrained the knowledge of the first movie is into my brain.
Yeah, but another one is and I will say this right here, right now. I am not going to spoil the ending because Scott Clark would just immediately drive to my house and start punching me, but Sleepaway can't.
Oh yeah.
Sure, but
because if you don't, but again, it's obscure enough that not everybody's seen it. But if it's something that's so mainstream that it is like become part of like everyday thing, like if you don't know who like you don't know that Vader is Luke's father, then you have to be under the age of 7.
Yeah, and at that point, you probably don't. You're not going to care anyway. You're like, what? I've got to see that. You know.
Yeah,
I feel like you. But I want to read David Newman's comment, if I may. He writes in general, if you feel a moment, section, or even story should be experienced without knowing anything about it, you really should try to avoid spoiling it. For new releases, I feel at least a few months should have gone by before being a little loose about spoiler material. I do agree with Caramel Bear, who I'm sure will read it shortly, that there have been quite a few moments, especially over the last few months to a year, where there's been too much hesitancy in talking a little more in depth about a game. It gets pretty distracting and has reached the conversation to a halt. It feels like it's an overcorrection from criticism from listeners in the past. It's hard because you want to talk about these moments, but also want to be conscientious of the fact someone might be interested in a game and might want to experience the moment without any prior knowledge. I feel like the best way to get around this is just by giving a spoiler warnings heads up, and if able to, marking it in the show notes. Definitely some extra work, but feels like it would allow you guys the freedom to speak more on a game while giving forewarning to listeners there might be some spoiler material ahead. Dear Scott Clark. Listen.
I love you, David, but I think you're putting a little too much faith in humanity.
No, I think David's pretty much got it down. I think the show notes links is a little much personally. I'm not saying I don't do the show notes, so I'm not saying that from a position of laziness. I just think in podcasts I listen to, I think the skip ahead 2 minutes or skip ahead a minute is more than fair to let people know that spoilers are about to be discussed.
Yes, okay, I can agree with that, but just putting it in the show notes, being like, If you have not played said game, skip. Like giving an audio cue, like, hey, you might want to skip the next 90 seconds.
Right. Well, I think that's
Perfect.
Absolutely, because then I mean, I guess if you're driving, it might be hard, but it gives a person the opportunity to pause and decide whether or not they want to hear these spoilers. So I wanted to call out that comment because I just felt like I agree with a lot of it, and also it's something Scott needed to hear. That's why I'm so mad Scott's not here, because him and I go back and forth about.
Are you kidding me? He would just back into a corner and be like, "I'm staying neutral. I'm staying neutral."
Here's what happened. If you guys know Scott Clark, and we all do, we love him. I love him. I think he's one of the best people I've ever known. But he doesn't like making people upset. So probably one person got mad at him once, and it probably just ingrained itself into his head to where he's like seeing it everywhere, even though it's not really there. The complaints, and then that's just how he lives now.
I mean, I'm the same way. I'm very sensitive. When someone gets mad at me about something, it stays with me, and then I'm afraid to do that thing again. So I get it.
Okay.
I guess I'm just a giant troll.
There's no doubt about that.
Shut up.
What are you talking about? Of course you
are. I mean, Scott wears a hat because of me.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's a great example. Scott wears a hat because you made fun of him twirling his hair.
Yeah. God, I am.
Twirl your hair, Scott. If you're out there, I want you to twirl your hair right now.
I am the bad.
I know you don't have a lot right now, but because he got his head shaved, right, for the kids.
He's got his eyebrows.
Hey, it's grown back.
Yeah, so just give it a nice little twirl. Think of me, buddy. So it seems like. So it feels like we kind of all agree that you just don't have to be a dick about it, right?
Yeah, that's why I said don't go out of your way to spoil something for someone.
Yeah, don't be vindictive about it.
Yeah, I would hate to be vindictive, which is why I want to read Gary McCullough's comment real quick. 1 year should be the standard. That being said, Aerith dies in Final Fantasy VII. That is not a spoiler. That is a historical fact every gamer should know. I would hate to be vindictive and just scream that out for no reason. But
I mean, the fact that there's even TikTok memes about that now.
Well, it is the Vader moment of video games, and I refuse to see it any other way. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
I knew that before I had ever played a Final Fantasy game.
I mean, same here. I knew about that beforehand.
It's just as a common... And you know what? It doesn't spoil Final Fantasy VII Remake. Because we don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's true.
I'm really willing to just do something else.
Yeah. See, but we can't. Well, I guess it's speculation. I have a theory, but yeah, I don't think
the roles are reversed.
Yes, basically.
Cloud dies.
That's roughly. I don't want to give too much away.
Yeah, just in case it comes true.
Oh, then we just have really great foresight.
Yeah.
No, well, I think the FF7 Rebirth will probably bring some new people in, so I don't want to give away all of the ending of FF7 Remake.
How dare they kill? How dare they kill Biggs and Wedge?
Yeah, or Midgar, or something. It was crazy when Sora showed up.
God, suddenly we're playing Blitzball.
Yeah, dude, and I couldn't believe. And he took us into the Transformers realm when we were in that boss fight against Megatron. Dude, it was nuts.
I know that was amazing.
Yeah, I'm thinking a pretty good game over here. Actually,
you are.
I will say
you're a smart cookie.
I love when people make the fake spoilers.
Yes, I love those.
Because then I'm playing through something expecting this to happen. I'm like, it never happened. I'm like, oh, you got me.
I do find some kind of weird joy when like a podcaster or YouTube will make a ridiculous fake spoiler like I just did that you fight Megatron in FF7. And then you see the comments going well, thanks a lot. Now I guess I just won't play it. And I'm like, how can your brain even compute that this is real? What is wrong with you?
When God, wow, I had a thought go in and it immediately left. They're like, no, we're not going to allow you to create this line of thought.
Story of your life, buddy. Yeah, well, since you got no thoughts in your head anymore, you just want to go into what the community had to say?
I will read you Sean Coates' thoughts.
All right.
I don't have a strong opinion on spoiling games because ideally the gameplay should be enjoyable even if a plot element is revealed. However, when it comes to movie spoilers based on historical events like the sinking of the Titanic or successful rescue of embassy hostages in Iran, if someone gets upset about that, I really can't empathize. I feel you on that.
Okay, I do have a little story. I did get someone mad at me because I talked about a movie that was based on a true story. The movie's called Christine. It's not the Stephen King car story. It was about a news reporter.
Oh, because if that was a true story, now I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I said what the actual true story was, and someone got mad at me saying, "Well, thanks for spoiling it. I guess I'm not going to watch the movie now." I'm like, it's a true story.
Just reach up and
It was
slap them.
reported on, like it was on the
Slap them.
news.
That's like you're expecting the world to cater to you at that point. You know, that's not fair to everybody else.
Like, movie based on a true story.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I never heard of this. Well, then that's your own fault.
Right.
Sean does go on to further say, also for the record, I've never played a Final Fantasy game, nor do I really pay any attention to the franchise, but even I'm aware of the Final Fantasy VII spoiler that y'all refuse to say on the air. Yes, Sephiroth does still kill Aerith.
Sure, Sean. I mean, we spoil. Can't wait for all the bleeping Scott's going to add to this episode.
Burp, burp.
Yeah.
I feel like Scott is just like shaking his head at us right now.
Oh,
Even though he can't listen right now, but when he
I
listens to this, he'll be like, no.
It.
I'm truly not trying to be mean. I actually think it's disrespectful of FF7 to not
why-
say the spoiler. It's much like Star. I think it's just like Star Wars. I really do.
Just put it on the cover art.
Yeah.
It's just
No, that's why Scott isn't here this week, because he knew that we would just go yard on this.
probably.
Just every single comment's going to get read, and at the end of the comment, it's going to be the same spoiler.
Yeah.
See, it's interesting you say that because I feel like there's a comment later where I probably wouldn't read it in its entirety.
Yes, I know the exact one you're...
Yeah.
I think I do
The
as well.
Thomas Beck's comment?
Yes.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly,
That
yeah.
was the one I was thinking
Position.
about too. Yeah.
But to me, those twists aren't as in the power, except for the Sixth Sense one that I already spoiled. I guess.
Yes.
Hey, I
But to
managed
me,
to avoid that spoiler until I was 24, 25 when I watched that for the first time.
That's
Didn't-
insane to me.
I never got spoiled.
But see, if it did get spoiled for you, would you be mad at the world for daring to talk about a 20-year-old movie out loud?
I can't speak for 24 or 25-year-old Alyssa. Maybe, potentially,
Yeah,
back then. Because that was a big twist.
sure.
But I don't
But see,
know if
I
I
knew
get
that
mad.
twist before I saw the movie, and it was like I thought it was so gratifying seeing all the hints along the way since I knew the outcome.
Yeah, I do want to rewatch it now. I've only watched it the one time, but I do want to rewatch it now knowing what happens. But
Now, I will say with Thomas's comment, which I will gladly read here in a moment.
Sure.
I guess it's more or less so because there are so few people that did play that game
Mhm.
that are now invested in the show.
Oh yeah, sure.
So like that is because I have two friends that I work with who don't play video games, have no interest in playing video games, but watched The Last of Us and are like so enthralled by this that they're like, wow, what a great TV show. Like, I really hope they make more. And I'm like, oh, guess what they are? And I'm like, there's a whole second game. And they're like, really? They're like, how does that
they can-
work? And I'm like, I ain't telling crap.
They could be just as mad as the gamers
Yeah.
were. I can't believe they would do that.
So,
Did you guys watch the Last of Us Part 2 remastered trailer?
no.
No.
They kind of
No,
spoiled
'cause
a
I'm-
lot of the Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, because I'm staying as far away from that as I can because I have no interest in playing that stupid remake.
Yeah. Well, it's a remaster.
Whatever. It's a stupid decision made by Naughty Dog that I refuse to accept or acknowledge.
Oh boy. Alyssa, do you want to read this next comment?
Yeah. Is it supposed to be Brian Rigotti?
Could be
Brina
Brina.
Rigotti.
Could be. I don't know.
I've heard the name Brian Rigotti before, but it's
Definitely,
written
but
as Brina.
Yeah,
I blame
I'm
Scott
not
Clark.
I am not here to judge
Okay,
their journey.
I'm just going to read it the way
Just
Rigotti. Rigotti
Yeah.
writes, "One year, I really don't mind game spoilers, but there is always an exception, especially if it's something I highly anticipated."
I guess it really is more about the journey.
Yeah.
It should be. No, that's not to say. Look, I get upset about spoilers sometimes too, but I just, especially if it's a year or more, like to me, I'm like, well, I think it's on me. if I really cared about the plot of a Plague Tale sequel, Requiem, then I should I had the ability to get off my ass and experience it.
Yeah.
Just saying. But hopping over to Discord, Brandon Lloyd says 2 months.
Wait.
No, I already read
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were just going to read it again for spite.
No, Brandon Lloyd says 2 months. That's crazy. I mean, you would think everybody on Twitter thinks that about 4 hours is about the appropriate time to spoil things.
I know.
I feel like every movie just gets completely obliterated.
Pretty much as soon as that person walks out of the movie theater, spoils it.
Yeah, I don't understand the logic of like, I've just got to share my thoughts on what happens in the Scott Pilgrim anime right now.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you go out of your way to be a dick,
yeah,
like then
I agree.
Then I get mad. Like, hey, I know this movie's only been publicly released for 2 hours, and I specifically went to the first showing just so I could spoil it to every other human on the planet. But not only it's like, oh, I'm going to post it to Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and I'm like, bro, you took more time putting something together for all these formats than the movie was in length.
I mean, yeah, and I guess it's born out of that weird mentality of people who go first in the comment section. You know,
yeah,
they just want to be the first person to do something.
God, do you remember?
Well, you can't you just say, yeah, I just got out of the Marvels? You don't have to say, oh my God, I can't believe this post credits thing happened. That's crazy.
Well, But even news sources are guilty of it, because I remember, like, okay, this just happened this week. The Marvels came out, and then Yahoo News had an article like 4 hours after the official release time. It's like, oh, here's our complete breakdown of the post-credit scene after the Marvels, and I'm like, dude, you're an ass.
Well, I mean, did you click the link?
Nope. But
the fact that headline had it, or what?
But the fact that like you already have something clickbaity like that,
yeah.
Or like you'll be like, oh, our breakdown of the Marvels, and then like as the first word, spoilers ahead, and the first line of the article was the ending of the movie, and I'm like, yeah, put that at the end of the article.
I understand. I mean, I don't know why you're clicking on it before you see the movie personally.
Well, because I'm not going to go see that movie. I don't care about it.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Very confusing.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, but if that was something like The Last of Us 2, like, and you put the ending right at the beginning, like, I'd be a little pissed.
Okay. All right. You want to read the next comment here from Paul?
I guess.
If you can bring yourself down enough to do so.
Husa.
Yeah, there you
go. Sir Paul Hine writes, from a guy that would read all the lead-up novels and comic books for an IP that has a new game or movie coming out, I still avoid anything other than trailers. I would still avoid trailers.
Yeah, I avoid trailers like the plague.
It's easy to do if you ignore social media. With that said, I have to put a length of time to wait 1 year.
It does feel like 1 year seems to be the most common consensus.
Yeah. But I mean, like, Zack, like, for the most of us here that consume things other than just audiobooks and movies, and who have a wide breadth of knowledge on things, video games, well, not video games, but like comic book centric, when certain things come out and like a fourth member of this podcast is like, wow, that's amazing. I'm like, yeah, bro, like that's common knowledge in our world.
Okay, I would say most of our audience is like this, but I guess you're just really making fun of Scott because he doesn't read comics.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know much about comics, to be honest.
Well, I only poke fun at Scott because every time he has to be like, I don't read comics. It's like,
yeah, he goes out of his way to let us know. Yeah. I don't read comics, so I don't know who this character is.
Yeah.
You remind us every week. I understand. You don't know how to read.
I forgot how much I've missed like the Let's Rip on Scott episodes.
Yeah,
they can be fun and good-hearted.
It's his fault. He's not here. Cowardice removed him from the spoiler conversation. What a coincidence he would go see a football game the same week as this topic. We could have moved the topic, Scott.
Yeah, we could have.
We could have.
But no, he didn't want to. Coward.
You know what? Mid episode, let's just stop this here. Spoiler warning. This is getting moved to next week. Scott will be here.
That'd be awesome.
Oh,
Alyssa,
he would lose his mind.
Yeah.
Through the next comment here.
Yeah, Mark Szymanski writes, after 6 months free reign, if somebody has managed to avoid spoilers for that long, I'd be impressed. I avoid them by not reading the article or forwarding a few minutes in the podcast. Some podcasts will do a cut-in and say, we're going to have spoilers, please forward 68 seconds if you want to avoid them. I always appreciated that option.
I want Scott to pre-record that, but then anytime we put the length of time in, it has to be like an automated voice. Because just Scott be like, hey, everybody, just go ahead and skip forward 74 seconds. So you don't get spoiled this game.
I think I'll try to make a concerted effort going forward. If I feel like I'm about to spoil something,
Yeah.
I'll say skip ahead as opposed to trying to dance around it awkwardly. But
Yeah.
also, I guess forewarning for our dedicated listeners. I mean, I don't know. There are going to be things that I don't know are spoilers to other people. I think that's just a reality of the spoiler culture we live in. Some things are going to be spoilers to other people that are not spoilers to others.
That's true.
Sometimes I learn spoilers and I'm like, well, I would not have watched that without learning the spoiler, but now I really want to watch this thing. That's happened to me.
Yeah.
Like the movie, is it Barbarian?
Oh yeah, Barbarian, yeah.
Which looked like a cool Airbnb horror movie,
Mhm.
but then somebody, told me that it shifts to a different character's perspective like halfway into the movie. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then it actually got me to watch it. The movie kicks ass.
It's a good movie.
I'm just saying, sometimes it could have the reverse effect. You never know. But I'm going to read Thomas Beck's comment here.
Spoiler warnings ahead for those who are listening.
You know what? Skip ahead 60 seconds if you don't want to be spoiled. How about that? I think you should never just spoil something, whether it's a game, movie, TV show, or book, without warning. If you're going to spoil stuff, make sure it is announced properly. We just did that. So people have the option to skip ahead or not read it. That way, people won't know that Bruce Willis is dead all this time, or that the main character of The Walking Dead dies in the end, or that Joel kills everyone to save Ellie, including the only person that could have made the vaccine. Ooh, it feels kind of dirty saying those out loud, though.
Does he really, though? Does he really?
Yeah, they addressed this in the part 2.
No, because there's people still alive. Everyone's not dead.
One teenage girl. God, Abby's so hot. I want Abby to throw me against a wall and just do whatever she wants with me. Anyway, that's the minute up, so I hope somebody came back in just to hear that. You get thrown against a wall by Abby.
I mean, I could definitely see you getting there.
Dude, I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Jacob Gunderson writes in. Depends. Could be anything from days to months. Anything longer than that falls under the if you actually cared, you would have already known category. There are things I don't care to play or watch, and I'm not going 6.5 hours out of my way to find out the butler did it. There are a few things that I am steadfast on not knowing until I find or do it myself. I don't want to hear any crazy things, but I'm usually good at getting those things done in a timely manner at 4. You know what? I want more people to pull a clue.
Oh yeah.
Different endings for
different
really
endings
cool, yeah.
at different areas of the world. That to me, that was brilliant.
It was
Because the first time I saw that movie, I had watched a different version than my friend. And so I'm like, yeah, he's like, did we watch the same movie? I love that.
Yeah, that was super cool. They had a chance with Across the Spider-Verse. They could have done different Easter eggs for different theaters. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
It would have been.
What a great way to like just increase the amount of times people go see something at a theater too.
Yeah, I do kind of appreciate Jacob Gunnarson's personal responsibility here. He's like, if he puts it on himself, and I appreciate that.
Good guy, Jacob.
Sure.
Yep.
You know. Alyssa, do you want the comment here?
I will. Matt Sattler writes, I don't really think there's a statute. I would say after a generation of gaming systems, but we're remastering and remaking games now, so that kind of kills that. There's always people who haven't played something, and it's just decent etiquette to assume so. If I just don't want to see something, I either avoid social media altogether, or just scroll past stuff that looks remotely related to the topic. And yes, it's as big an issue as Scott makes it out to be. I hate when people aren't cognizant of spoilers.
So a contrarian opinion here.
You know, with the remakes and the remasters, it just makes me want to go out of my way to spoil everything.
Well, luckily I don't have that mean gene in me. But you know,
I said
the
it makes
remaster.
me, but I'm being a good guy.
You know what? That's true. That's true valiant behavior. If you have the temptation and then you resist it, you know, that's true decorum.
Yeah.
Because at the top of the show, I could have really just gone yard.
Yeah.
Is this yard expression? I've never heard of this before. You use it
I
several
haven't heard
times
it
now.
either.
Never heard.
This is a Midwest thing?
I guess
I don't know. I've just never heard it.
I haven't heard it either.
Just trying. The context clues, I've got it figured out. I just haven't heard it. That's all.
Go yards and like hitting a home run, hitting it out of the park.
No, yeah.
I was gonna say, CB, you know how our brains work from before the episode started.
The two people that literally think literally.
It's not. My stove is black. Okay. Anyway, no one will understand that.
No.
I do appreciate the different opinion here, Matt. I find it interesting that I really hope, Matt, this isn't insulting, but I do feel like everyone else here had generally like 6 months to a year, right? Would be kind of the vibe, but it feels like the people like Matt own the discourse though, because I do feel like we all avoid spoilers.
And this isn't a knock on you, Matt.
That's what I'm trying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yes, it is a fine line, and I understand why Scott likes to walk it sometimes. But
sure, it is better safe than sorry. But I don't think it's poor etiquette or rude for someone to tell you that Vader's Luke's father.
Yes,
you know.
But again, if like I said, if we're having a conversation and you know that we're talking about this and you don't tell me to shut up,
right,
then it does become a you problem, not a me problem.
Yeah.
In written form, I understand, because you're reading something, you're like, oh God, look away.
Yeah.
Right, sure. The horror. I don't know about you guys. I can't look away when I'm reading something. So.
I mean, I admitted that I spoil stuff for myself. Like, I will flip to the back of a book to find out the ending.
Well, see, now you're just going out of your way to be like,
yeah,
I need to know now.
Yeah, that's the thing. I need the destination. I need to know the destination, and then I go on the journey.
Is this book really going to suck this bad? Oh, maybe not.
Oh, everybody dies. Finally a happy ending. Jay Henry writes, I would say usually wait till promos for the game are over for spoilers, which is about 2 to 3 weeks after launch, or even after the first update if there are bugs and fixes. But I usually stay off social media until I buy the game. Like Spider-Man 2, I'm not going to spoil what happens in Spider-Man 2. I won't do it. And I don't care if it is marketed or whatever. It hasn't been a year. You know, it's barely even been a few weeks. So I will not finish Jay's comment.
Especially with, I guess this year kind of changes things a bit because there has been so many big releases.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's just look at the audience around you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know people that still have not touched anything like after June.
Right. Well, yeah, especially this and with how long every video game is, you know.
It's true.
Yeah, so I guess it's for the most part 1 year is fine, but look at the year that you're in. Now, if this was 2020 and everybody was locked up, I'm spoiling it like 3 weeks because I'm like, ain't nobody got nothing to do.
Now, we'll say, Jay's spoiler, if you've ever played a Spider-Man video game before, like this moment did not surprise me.
No.
But it may surprise somebody.
My 15-year-old son called that the spoiler that Jay is referring to.
Yeah.
15 minutes into the game.
it's just what you expect from.
Because he's like, so when does this happen? I'm like,
this. Yeah, from this.
I'm glad that you're my son because you know things.
Now if somebody is surprised by it, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yes.
You know, I'm happier for you than I was for me.
Especially
I would rather be
Spider-Man
surprised
movies
than
we've had.
Yeah.
Yeah. CB, I guess you want to read this last comment here from Caramel Bear?
Caramel Bear.
Yes.
Caramel.
It's all how you prefer to say it.
I'm going to come out and say 3 months is good enough time to finish a game. I'll be honest, when you guys are walking on eggshells or trying to go around the subject to avoid spoiling a section.
Scott, I just want to make sure he's paying attention.
Yeah, clear your throat there one more time. Or trying to go around the subject to avoid spoiling a section of a game. This results in taking me out of the immersion of your podcast. It's happened more than once where the conversation goes from this natural flow to a sudden stop because you're trying to avoid spoilers. Now, this can work both ways. I can choose to stop listening to the podcast, wait for the spoiler cast, and that same person can stop listening if they won't want spoilers in the main podcast. At the end of the day, it's your podcast, and you have all the decision to decide the order of what you want or not want to do. So my 2 cents is spoilers be damned, as long as you give fair warning before the podcast starts or whenever you all believe the spoiler warning applies. Caramel Bear. You after my heart there.
Yeah, I think 3 months is a little soon, personally, but
No. Because if it's something so major that I said like everybody is playing,
yeah, but maybe we just don't have money right now, you know?
Yeah,
or
that's my thing. Yeah,
the 3 months. 3 months.
Or maybe you're still playing. You're getting all through 100 hours of Baldur's Gate 3. You know, you haven't had a chance to get to Lies of P yet. You know,
but it's okay. I am proof positive of this point right here. I am still playing Starfield. I have not finished the game. I still don't know the twist.
Mm-hmm.
I have.
Do you want to know? I'll tell you.
No, because you know what? Like I said, I have censored myself to make sure that I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it is possible. Like, Starfield is a major release. It's something I've been waiting years for. I still read articles on it. I have managed to stay away from the twist, so it is possible.
No, I agree. I do think there's a general lack of personal responsibility in avoiding spoilers. Because you could set up words to get blocked on your internet, you know.
Yep.
You can set up mute phrases on Twitter and social media. Like, there are steps you can take, absolutely.
And I guess maybe that's without even realizing it, I've been kind of prepping myself for this type of episode. Because, granted, yes, I'm still playing Starfield. I don't talk about it in the games that we're currently catching up on it because I'm sure people are tired of hearing me talk about the game.
I understand.
But the fact that, like, we're like how over a couple months into release for this, and I've backburnered this game and still managed to steer clear of a spoiler just so I can say it is possible.
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, you're right. I still feel like, I don't know, pretty much just feel a little soon to me, I guess.
But it just depends on how ravenous you are for the knowledge.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But I guess that's all we have to say on the matter, huh? Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I mean, that one time that Superman turned into King Kong, I guess.
Why we keep coming up with these awesome ideas? You know, we're just giving them away for free.
I know.
And also, come on, who are you kidding? There'll never be a Superman game.
Probably not. Or at least a good one.
They gotta make 1,400 Suicide Squad live service games before they'll make a freaking Superman game. Suicide Squad game where Captain Boomerang uses guns. Stupid.
I agree with you.
But anyway, that'll do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. And thank you for listening. This episode of The Gaming Outsider was produced by Kevin Honigford, and all of the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Semage and Metroid Metal at SemageMusic.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Alyssa, do you have any parting words or recommendations for the listeners?
I've been watching this show and I'm really digging it, and you don't even have to ask what kind of show it is. You know.
Is it a K drama?
Oh my gosh, you figured it out.
Boy,
oh my god.
Good. He's basically a detective, this guy.
It's called Snowdrop, and it is on Disney Plus. I am surprised it's on Disney Plus because of what it covers and shows. Feels like it should be on Hulu. Well, I mean,
Hoops?
no, there's no nudity.
Oh.
Violent content and distressing content.
Oh, hang on. Disney Plus does have Deadpool on
That is okay. That's true.
Is there nudity?
Deadpool.
No, but there is gratuitous violence.
Well, yeah.
Well,
nobody cares about that.
You do
in
see
America.
Ryan Reynolds' booty.
Yeah, I mean,
in the first one.
Booty and
that's-
partial junk shot.
Yeah, booty's nothing. I know they robbed us of seeing Gina Carano's boobs. For that.
Yes.
For Colossus covers up the camera.
Yeah.
Unacceptable behavior.
Yeah.
Anyway, Alyssa, you were saying about Korean dramas.
Anyway, Snowdrop, really liking it. Said 1987 in Seoul, South Korea, and it's about a young woman. She's a university student, goes to an all-women's university, meets a guy on a quadruple blind date, but he's not what he appears to be. And this is set during the June democracy movement that occurred in real life in Korea. And it's just every episode twists and turns.
Don't spoil how the June democracy turned out for me, okay?
I'm not gonna spoil it for you because I don't know much about it either.
I'm guessing there was a vote.
There were some plans. If you want to know about it, just look it up yourself. The show loosely follows that. But every episode, cliffhanger ending, drives me nuts in the best way. I can already tell it's going to break my heart. It already has in one episode. But it's just so good. It's so enthralling. And they slipped in the most intense curse word you can on Disney Plus, and I was impressed.
Okay. Respect for that.
It's probably the only time they'll have it in that show. But I caught it, and I'm like, oh, they went there.
Good drama. What about you, CB? You have any recommendations?
First off, finish Project Hail Mary before Scott. Phenomenal book.
This feels like an unnecessary shot across the bow, but all right.
He started almost a week before I did.
He's savoring it, okay? You just digested it and crapped it out, okay? This means he's taking it in.
It is.
He's sitting with it.
It's phenomenal writing from Andy Weir. Two quick things. I talked about this before the show with you, Zach. I am starting American Gods.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
yes,
a good
Neil
book.
Gaiman. Yes.
I'm reading the book, but I'm also watching the show in tandem.
Okay.
So
It's
I
just
want
a
to see like, the divergence.
what a unique experience. Your brain's gonna mush it up. You'll never really
Yeah,
keep straight what was what.
smash. Second off, I apologize for over the next couple weeks for anybody who knows me because Godzilla -1 is coming.
Oh yeah, dude! Wide
Yeah.
release in America, man. That's
I
crazy.
know. I'm the G-Man himself is coming. I'm loving this time of kaiju because not only do we have Godzilla -1, but Monarch: Legacy of Monsters.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, dude! I gotta get an Apple TV for that.
I know I don't have Apple TV. I'm slightly distraught about this at the moment because I could already watch the first episode.
I have Apple TV.
I need your login.
Oh my God. Wow, that is no class at all in that request.
Hey, I don't-
Just going
I don't
straight
mind.
to the bed.
Must consume.
Godzilla.
Dude, I mean, he's right here behind me. Multiple Godzillas. Like,
Yeah.
he is my favorite. But I am so excited. So I guess that's more my recommendation for those of us who are also massive kaiju fans. Be prepared to go out and support the G-Man himself. Watch it as many times as you can because I think there needs to be more Godzilla movies made. Just
I think you and
more.
I should go see Godzilla vs. Kong 2 together, and I'll wear my Team Kong shirt, and you can wear a Team Godzilla shirt.
I want
I'm
to
down.
too.
But you know what? I also got love for Kong, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love Godzilla as well, but I'm a Kong guy. What about you, Alyssa? You Team Kong or Team Godzilla?
This is so hard because I love them both.
Gun to the head, you gotta pick right now.
G-Man.
Okay. I guess I had to go with Godzilla.
Yes!
It's okay. We can still be friends.
Oh,
Anymore.
Okay.
by the way,
But
I don't know how many times you've watched the trailer for Godzilla -1, but I don't know. Oh, I get more excited every time I see it.
It looks great. Yeah, I can't wait to see it. I'm thinking about seeing it. There's a Screen X that I just learned about where it's got like 2 giant projectors on the side of the main screen as well. I think I'm going to be doing that for this.
All I know is like the early reviews that I've heard coming out of Japan, like even Gareth Edwards, he's like, this is the return to form for Godzilla.
Yeah. Did you like Shin Godzilla? That was the last one, right?
I loved Shin Godzilla, especially the 2 hours of the movie that they cut.
Yeah, okay, I didn't watch any of that, but I did love the movie that we got.
There was a released screenplay where they talked about like where the direction of the movie was actually going because it ends on that freeze frame, and that was actually where they actually cut the film because it was more
interesting. Well, anyway, as for me, I guess I'll be the mainstream one of us. I've been watching Scout Program Takes Off on Netflix, the anime, but it is not an adaptation, I guess.
Okay.
It is a strange anime in that I feel like you have to have seen the movie first.
Okay. I love the movie.
Sure, makes sense. Yeah, I assume most people listening to this, have seen the movie and love it. I feel like it's pretty universally beloved amongst the nerds, which is mostly everybody these days. So, Skyrim Takes Off. It's interesting. The cast is great. I'm very surprised at how good a voice actress Mary Elizabeth Winstead is. I didn't know. I mean, I haven't heard her voice acting before, but she's like noticeably good, and
it's
probably
Hera
stands
herself.
out. What was that?
Hera herself.
Well, yes, but in live action, she didn't do the voice in the show. That was Vanessa Marshall, but she's very good, and I think she stands out a little bit too because Kieran Culkin is not very good at voice acting. So you're just you're surrounded by people who don't do this professionally, but she stands out as I was like, oh wow, okay. But yeah, they flesh out a lot more of stuff. They flesh out the Evil X's a lot more too.
Nice,
which is
cool.
fun. And there's some infighting. It's almost like a Saturday morning cartoon. It's like the Legion of Superheroes, where they cut to the Legion of the Doom. And they're all bickering, about how to take down the superheroes. A little bit of that going on here, which is a lot of fun. So I don't know. Yeah, if you like South Pilgrim, watch it. I wasn't gonna watch it because I've seen the movie so many times that I was like, I don't really know if I need to see an animated version of the same thing I've already seen. But then a buddy told me that the first episode is very surprising. And he was correct. The first episode is very surprising. So at least check out the first episode and see how you feel about it.
Nice.
I definitely will watch it at some point.
Absolutely. Well, until next week, I'm Zack Parkson with Chris Mearns-Meyer and Alyssa White, and we are The Gaming Outsider. Remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.